Ah,
All right. Hey, guys, we are live. Give me 1 second here. I got to bring Josh in.
What's up, bros?
Hey, yo, what up, brother? How are you doing?
I'm all right.
Our,
Just,
our brother, our
dad
brother from
life.
another mother.
Yeah.
uh-oh. We have the great Canadian hype with us
Yep.
once more.
Yep. Hey, guys, welcome back to another meeting of the minds. I
Been a
know.
long time.
Yeah. Bob and I kind of started again. I know with my old channel, nuking that and everything that went on here. I've had this channel, so I figured we'd just move it to here.
Yeah.
So,
Not a bad idea.
so yeah.
What's the channel? Do you got a link we can spread?
Yeah. So it is at Volt Chaos 1975.
Okay.
So unfortunately I don't have enough people, so I don't have the custom link yet. So.
Oh, okay. So.
Because I had to start over from the bottom. So, and being that I'm not with Sportman Studios anymore, I didn't want anything with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that. Man, I'm sorry
So-
about that happening. That really sucks.
Well, I still retain part ownership of the IP, which is kind of convenient. We're talking about that whole thing. But yeah, so but anyhow, yeah. So here, let me put my link. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, I just tweeted it out. Let people know.
Oh, I should do the same,
Yeah,
actually.
hey Josh, since it's been a while since you've been on, and hey, we got Hothead
Little
in
bit.
this. We've got Hothead in the chat too. He hasn't been here for a while too. So great night. Link I just put in
Switch
there,
the product.
guys.
It's totally a great night. It's such a great night. I tell you, it's the greatest night now. If you'll excuse me, we need you to put on a nice suit and tie for this here establishment because we don't exactly like those who aren't properly dressed.
I'm trying to
I'm
get my
properly
camera.
dressed. You can't
I'm
see
trying
my
to get-
nipples.
I can't even see what you're dressed as right now. So,
I'm rocking the Wampool, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. I hope you guys noticed my sweet comic book spinner rack that I got in the background now.
Nice.
Pretty dope, not gonna lie. That was well worth the money, not gonna lie. Check it out. It's Kingstone Christian Comics. That's who sells them. And
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, because I actually been reading their comics. They're actually really good.
Oh, yeah.
Their art is really good. The translation they did adapting the Bible to like mainstream, like to give a good message. Like they've done a really good job.
well,
So
glad to hear it. And you know what? They also make an excellent comic book spinner rack.
yep.
I gotta say, Josh, good to see you still rocking the porno stash.
Oh yeah, no. I'm pretty much keeping that till I'm back in shape.
Hey.
It reveals the flab under the chin, so until that's
dude.
gone, this stays.
Well, I gotta say, dude, for me, I've been doing, I guess you could say, calisthenics, I think is what it's called.
Oh, yeah?
A lot of, like, pull-ups and everything, and oh, man, dude. I have, like, I thought I had pecs back. No, bro. These things now wrap all the way around. I flex, and it's like, bam! Sticking out from the side of my rib cage and shit. I'm like,
that's how you want it. Nah, man, I just been busy.
You're a father. You are allowed to have that happen, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, I've been pretty much like a full stay-at-home dad during the day, and then I've been working as well. I mean, I just finished the contract with the feature film that I've been working on, and then
nice.
That ended on Friday. But I still have one more scene that I'm trying to like finish up because it's a doozy. Like it's one of those scenes where it's just like it's so difficult. And it's like there's so much happening that it just makes the scene like really chug. Yeah. I don't know if you guys ever do anything with like anything animation wise. But it's been a while since we talked. Who knows? Maybe you have been getting into that. But
I've toyed around with stuff because I would, even though I'm there for a while. I know we hadn't talked for a while because of just with life and stuff like that. I was actually looking into doing Natsumi Spearhead. I was looking into doing different things with Spearhead and stuff like that. But of course now that's ended with. So I was like doing like a lot of different animation things. I was looking into like different programs. We're toying around with gaming, like we were talking
yeah,
about, uh, toying around with Unity, Honey Select, like all these different like 3D
To be
programs and
fair, I also do have the Steam one, like the Steam engine, whichever
oh,
I can't remember the name of it.
which
it's
one?
called Steam Engine.
It's the one you could the actual Steam game builder, the one that Steam put out themselves.
I didn't know they did put out a game engine.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. Give me a
I get
second.
what you mean though. I've been looking into how to get started with like game making and stuff because I want to make Pineapple Pizza Man into a game as well. Like I think that'd be a lot of fun. I got some like pretty fun ideas for it, and like I'm a Puritan too when it comes to video games. Like I'm like, no half built games at launch. And then you
Yeah.
have to like download content to finish
What?
it.
What?
Later
No,
on,
no,
and
no, no, no 10 gig update on launch day?
no loot boxes, no DLC, unless it's gonna be like a like a proper add-on, like back in the day with like Diablo, and then you had like Diablo Hellspawn, uh,
Heresy!
where it's like you got like practically a whole new game, like as an add-on. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. But I'm talking like I want to do like 2D platformer kind of stuff. I think that would
So
work well with Pizza Man.
yeah, that's kind of what I was doing with Natsumi, before, and we can really talk. The first topic we could talk about is the whole Unity thing,
And
because we're
good idea too, because I was actually looking into Unity not too long ago. Like last week I was looking into Unity. I'm like, okay, like because a friend of mine was talking. I was talking to my friend of mine a while back, and he was suggesting that I start, just like doing a little bit here and there, just like a couple
yeah.
tutorials at night, here and there. I'm just like, that's not really a bad idea. I really should like, branch out and try to learn some of the gaming stuff. At the very least, so that I can kind of utilize my animation talents in gaming and
Right.
expand the different areas of which I can utilize those
Because
talents.
a lot of what you do can bleed into that industry.
Of course, I mean
You
a
know.
ton of it.
Yeah. So like I was actually doing like that's how I wanted to do Natsumi. Like I actually wanted to do it was going to be a platform game, kind of like a Metroid slash Castlevania. And what you would be doing basically is you'd have an option of playing as Sporkman or Natsumi, and you would basically go through the platform and you'd fight Robo Ninjas and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
you're hunting, you're basically hunting down Shogun Z, and I was gonna have like just that. And then when you get to the boss fights, and then it would go into like more like a Street Fighter.
Mm.
Where you would actually do like combo moves and stuff like that. And then, once you go to the next level, it would be back to a platformer. And so I was looking at Unity for those reasons because, and I was toying around. Like the thing I liked about Unity, like they taught you how to build Lego games. They had like literally a big hands-on stuff for you to learn stuff. And so
yeah, it looked like that.
Yeah, and it was. I like one of the big things is, and I know you know this, Josh. A lot of computer programs and stuff like that have a very steep learning curve.
Yeah. When you get invested into learning a program, like you're in it for a good long time. It's going to take a while to get good, and it's a big investment. So you want to be on a program that you're going to have some longevity with, and the last thing you want in a program is for them to suddenly be like, I'm changing the terms of our agreement. Pray I don't change it any further. This like serious Darth Vader shit, where it's just like, and then like I was literally I had like I literally had Unity downloaded.
The terms of the contract, sure.
No, exactly. But I literally had Unity downloaded. I had like several tutorials like preloaded on YouTube and ready to go. Resources and everything. And then this whole Unity debacle happens, like right then and there.
Yeah.
And
It's almost like a light.
Offering you the chance to build video games for a price.
this,
Do not make me get more troopers to deal with you.
this
Well-
Unity thing is one of the craziest debacles I have ever seen in gaming. Like, quite possibly the craziest period. Like,
I
ever.
think the only thing maybe like worse in it is like the whole Activision thing with the sexual assault stuff. But I literally think minus that in terms of like actual like, and the thing is they're quadrupling down. They're not breaking it. Like that's the whole problem. Like
Yeah.
I don't get. They've doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, and I would not believe if they keep going because the problem is. So I was watching Linus Tech Tips, and I wanted to get your input on this, Josh. So
You were watching
Linus, Linus Tech Tips.
Linus Tech Tips. Okay.
Yeah.
Not
it was-
familiar with them, but I may have watched them at some point.
So
Just
so
because I've been
he
watching a lot of stuff that I've never, like, a lot of people on YouTube I've never seen before, just because of
Okay.
this whole Unity thing.
So he was talking about it, him and his co-host Luke on his one show called The WAN Show, and that was like the first topic. And here he dropped. They lost in 4 quarters over $1 billion.
That's a lot. That's a lot in
And
one year.
Yeah, in 1 year. So that he says that's probably why they went to this subscription model. He said he said they've been toying this for a while. This is not something they just thought of overnight.
Right, but
David-
like, why did they lose so much money in that year?
Because of freemium games. Because
Oh.
see what happens is that you have basically as a like you have up to $200,000 that you can create. You could do a game on before you're
Right.
charged anything. So let's
Right.
say it only costs you $1,000 to build your game. Well, you can do continually doing updates on that. It doesn't cost you anything if you don't charge anything in the Apple Store or the Google Store.
Mm-hmm.
So they lost a lot, and the thing is, they're losing money off of that because of their runtime that they use and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, but at the same point, I'm like, that's the whole point of the thing. You don't get money until you reach a certain threshold. If they're not, then you need to change your threshold. You need to say, hey, as of this date going forward, anybody who creates a game, this is what our subscription model is going to be.
Well, you know what they could do is also say, like, well, because we don't get any money off of the freemium games, based on the model that we have in place currently, because the model that we have in place currently is based on the idea that you're going to actually charge money for your games, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not charging money for your games, but then all your money comes from the in-app purchases, maybe you got to, like, work with that specifically instead of saying everybody has to do it this way and it's gonna like screw over a whole bunch of people, like way more people.
Yeah, so like I would say like a certain percentage of let's say they do in-app purchases. They say I would say like, oh, if you're gonna do a freemium game, you do any in-app purchases, 5% of those have to come to us.
Right.
The sales.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that. But to go and excuse my French, and you guys know I don't like swearing, but to literally fuck over customers, bend them over, and screw them 6 ways from Sunday, that you're now getting companies talking about delisting their games.
Yeah. Not only that, but like people are saying, like, well, they'll never use Unity again, and with good reason. They have broken all of the trust that anybody has in that company, in that engine. And frankly, like as soon as I saw that stuff happening, I was just like, there's no chance in hell I'm going to learn Unity. Yeah. These people can't be trusted. Because a lot of the stuff they were talking about too, they're talking about like charging you for people installing pirated games, multiple installs. So like if you install the game, play it, delete it, and then you decide to revisit it later down the line and decide to reinstall it again,
well,
they get charged again.
They backed out on that one. They did back.
Did they though? Because they didn't.
Well, they claim they did. So they claim they did. But
also,
they are still.
I posted something in the private chat for you to check.
Yeah, we saw that. We'll get into that in a bit. But going back to the whole double installs and pirate installs, they say that that's not the case, but they still haven't said how any of this works.
Right.
They even have said that they haven't quite figured out how they're going to get all of this to work. So, how can you trust them if they don't have a plan? How can you trust them if they don't know how it works? How can you trust that it's going to work in a way that's going to benefit, any of the people using this product, just on their word when they're already have their word means nothing at this point.
Right. Like one of the things like that they really doubled down on was, so like instead of like the uninstall reinstall thing, so like if you're, let's say I take Cult of the Lamb, okay? I'm
Yeah.
playing it on my PC. If I want to download it, install it onto my Steam Deck or to another PC or to another thing, they're gonna double charge the content creator for
Yeah.
that. I'm like, how is that fair as a consumer?
But also,
I'm a game.
it's a
I know
product.
Yeah.
Like once you have your product made and you sell that product to someone, that transaction is complete. There should be no more charges anywhere for any of that.
Yeah.
Like you can't charge a developer for something that a user is doing with their purchased product of a game. They can do whatever the hell they want with the game. These people could easily maliciously do things with this to make it so that they force the developer to, incur extra charges. Like you could get multiple, what were they called again?
Brigading. Having a bunch of people that
because you can set up,
uninstall and re-download the game constantly just to incur that charge for the developer.
right, and you could set up also virtual consoles as well, like virtual PCs.
Yep.
So each one would have a different IP address. And if they're basing it off of IP address or on computer, you do those virtual machines, or you do, or if it's IP address in any way, then you take, you just use VPNs and switch it up, install it, switch it up, install it, go to a different virtual computer or virtual desktop, install it there, another virtual desktop, install it there, 20 cents, 20 cents, 20 cents, $1, $3, $4. You keep doing this, and if a bunch of people keep doing that, on purpose because they don't like a company for X or Y reason, that's going to screw those companies over. And there are malicious people out there that will happily do that because you said something on the internet that they disagreed with,
Let's just say somebody. Let's just say somebody hates Microsoft. And they decide, well, hey, we're going to piss this person off. Real quick, just on a happy note, I want to show. I got my Common America.
Nice.
Stuffy. So I was like, yay! I don't know if you still support Tim and those guys.
Oh, of course I do.
So,
Well, look. I don't know if you saw this, but
and I also have
there's the Common America section right there.
Nice. I have the Capybara Badger too. So
I got that. I got that too.
Remember, the reason why you support Common America is because you do not want to be supporting the reticuloids and their soy-filled comics with turning all the characters, with the soy. You know what that'd be doing to the characters. You can't be saying it no more on YouTube, but you know what it's doing to the characters. I'm just saying. That's why you like Common America. That's why you like Wanpool. That's why you like things like Pineapple Pizza Man, even though pineapple on pizza is an atrocity.
Oh, no. That's heroic.
So the funny thing is, this week really gave me my show idea right off the back, between the whole Unity thing happening and then the whole thing with DC and their bullshit. I'm like, man, this week just really likes to screw all, doesn't it?
Well, what? Explain to me like I'm new to this because I am.
Okay.
What's the DC kerfuffle?
Okay, so you guys have you heard of Fable?
Fables.
It's a comic series, right? Yeah.
Yep, by Vertigo. Yep.
Right.
Yep. So basically, what happened was there has been an ongoing kerfuffle between DC and the creator Bill Wellington, I believe his name is.
Okay.
And so basically, he put DC on notice over the last few. He said since Dan Dido left, so that would probably be since 2017, 2019. DC's been doing stuff with his IP behind their back and not paying him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's about like modern DC.
Yeah, okay, so it's Willingham. Okay, thanks, Hothead. I appreciate it. So yeah, so basically, like you know how Telltale did the Among Us Wolf games.
Uh,
Uh,
not really. No, I'm not
okay,
familiar with
yeah,
that.
so
But
so there's a you know how they did like the Batman games and the Walking Dead games and stuff like that. Well, they
oh,
did
Telltale. Yeah.
Telltales.
Damn,
So
Tales from the Land.
So basically, they took his product, A Wolf Among Us, and they basically created this game with Telltale's behind his back. He got nothing for it. He didn't get he has rights approval for anything that needs to be done on storylines, like they who writes and who draws
What's that?
everything.
That
Like he
sounds like
has
a lawsuit waiting to happen.
well, the problem is he has no money to sue DC because you know because he's not getting paid.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Like, remember me saying I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with that voice I did earlier? The
What voice?
you're about to hear it. I figured out what it is. This is the DB executive. Come, let us go over our writers, our creators, our fans. It's all evil sounding and creepy. You're just kind of like, oh god, please,
All right,
sir.
That's just
yeah,
DC voice.
Yes, that is DC voice.
well, it's like I was like wondering like who could do my beer this week, and I'm like I know DC are kind of holding each other up here, with the bullshit. Now here's the thing though. And this is just my experience with IP, and because I'm going through with this thing with Eric, and what like I had somebody actually ask me like, well, what's the status of like could Eric still continue the comic? I said yes and no, because the way the contract is broken down, and we actually have a physical written contract. The way it's written down, Eric does have like 48% controlling interest of the company. And then there's 33 and 33 between me and Chris.
Okay.
So, however, that works out to be 100%. But in the contract, in order for him to do anything continuous, he needs 2 or more people to say yes.
Okay.
So if I don't agree to him continuing to work on Sporkman and Chris doesn't, he cannot work on any future comics.
So as long as you and Chris are saying no, then he can. But
Correct.
if you or Chris say yes, then he can.
He can continue. Yes.
Okay. All right. I see.
So, but he then still has to pay me based on ownership rights and stuff like that,
Right. Like your 33% or whatever.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, if I wanted to cash out, he would need to pay out whatever 33% is and stuff like that. It's not like I'm going to do that or anything like that. But yeah, but we literally have an official little contract written. Now, there's other stuff in there and stuff like that. But that's just kind of a simple breakdown. So what is the and this is something we don't know because of the contract and stuff like that between him and DC, but it sounds like from the contract he's the IP holder. Even though they have copyright laws, there's still IP because IP there is no such thing as actual IP law. IP law is like an umbrella that falls under trademark, copyright, and patents. And I think Canada's a lot like us in those regards. Like I think
fairly similar, I think.
Yeah, fairly similar. So what actually happens is anyhow, he basically took all his stuff because he wasn't getting paid by DC, and he just released it into public domain.
Ha!
Now, here's the problem. Go ahead.
So basically, because DC was making stuff without his permission anyway, he decided, well, if you're just going to make stuff without my say-so, even though I'm supposed to have the final word on all things story, how about I just let everybody do that, and then you don't have a monopoly on this story.
Right, so, like DC has the rights to, like, whatever, like, his contractual stuff with DC, whatever was already created with Fable, like, they own those comics.
But anything anybody makes of Fable moving
back
forward,
down to.
like
It does
they can do that without having
Who
to
the hell
pay
are
anything
you?
to DC because it's
Correct.
now in the public domain. I didn't
Correct.
realize that you could actually just enter something into the public domain.
And that's what I.
Branded
Yes.
faces
So
that
that's
look like
actually what I
the
work.
tourist attractions these days, huh?
What's going
I'm
on
Betty,
here?
by the way.
Bob, mute yourself.
I know.
Yes,
I'm
I
trying
was.
to. I realize it set the
Yeah.
voice too loud. This is the first
Yeah.
time I've had an actual talking.
Yeah. Hold on for 1 second here. Josh asked a question here, so I'm going to mute you briefly.
Go
Okay.
for it. Go for it. Well, I can.
Till you get your volume set, Helen. So okay, so that's where yes, he cannot just release stuff into public domain. Okay, he still has to follow whatever the copyright and IP, whatever the trademark copyright laws are, and whatever the laws are. You know what I mean? Like so, like right now,
Right.
copyright law says that copyright products do not go into public domain until 72 years after the artist's death.
And it used to be, I think, 50 years after the artist's
50
death.
years, yes. Under
And
Walt Disney.
Walt Disney is the one that keeps pushing that forward because they want to keep control of the mouse, which I think
Yeah.
is also coming close to an end now, unless they
public
decide
do-
to start sending the bribes.
Yeah, Steamboat Willie goes into public domain next year. Winnie the Pooh already went into public domain, which is why you saw Nicholas doing his Winnie the Pooh stuff. So that's the characters based off of, A.H. Milnes. So Steamboat Willie does go into public domain. The Mickey Mouse character, Steamboat Willie.
Yeah.
Now, how does that extend into every other iteration? I'm not sure yet.
Well, Steamboat Willie is Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, we can argue that, yeah, but some people see it differently.
I mean,
So-
all you have to do, if you want to do anything Mickey Mouse related now, is don't call him Mickey Mouse, just call him Steamboat Willie. Done.
Yeah, so Hothead asks, you can't release IP into public domain even when you're alive. Unless it's specified in your contract for anything, no, you can't. Because the way copyright laws are in existence, trademark and copyright, you cannot put stuff right directly into public domain, especially with his issue with DC and stuff like that. Now, he does fall under all his characters already copyright are created from characters that were already in public domain.
Right.
Because it's based off all the Grimm fairy tales and stuff like that. So there are some navigational issues that we got to look at. There was a really good thread, and I'm trying to find it. Somebody actually just literally wrote about the whole thing and how that works, and it has to be somewhere written in his contract about like how it gets released in event of his death. Where does he release? Now DC can challenge everything, and I think they're going to do that.
But then essentially what they do is they end up basically giving him the lawsuit that he probably would have wanted to do anyway to make sure that they stop doing this stuff without his go-ahead like they were supposed to.
Yeah, so like that's a good question. Would DC do that? The problem is right now we know that DC and Warner they're taking anything they can with money because they're shedding money the way they are, and I could see a part of them probably doesn't want a legal battle because of.
I mean, this seems like even with a public defender, you could probably win this case pretty easily. It's like, here are the terms of the contract. They broke the contract and did this stuff without my say-so anyway, and without paying me my dues. It's like pretty open and shut. But I was actually just looking at the public domain, and there's this little up council thing about public domain. It says, public domain, what is it? And it says, let me just read this real quick. It says,
yeah, go ahead.
Public domain refers to creative materials such as patent drawings that are not protected by copyright, trademark, patent, or any other intellectual property laws. The creative work is shared by the public and cannot be owned or protected by copyright laws. Public domain work may be used by anyone at any time without prior permission. A public domain work can be used without cost. A creative work is considered public domain for any of the following reasons. All right, and here's the reasons. Copyright is expired, obviously. Copyright was never requested, obviously. copyright was dedicated or intentionally put into the public domain by the owner. So you
Mm.
can do that. And he is the owner of the intellectual property.
Interesting, because the article I was reading said otherwise, but I'm not going to argue that. If that's what it says on the thing, I think he might have a really good case that DC's going to lose that.
Yeah, I think that definitely is a losing battle for DC. Like, they really should have just stuck to the contract.
But Marvel's doing the same thing. Like these content holders, they're not. You know who Dan Mendez is? Have you ever heard of him?
The name rings a bell, but I couldn't conjure what he does off the top of my head. There's so many people.
Big Titty Zombie.
Big Titty Zombie?
Yeah.
That does not ring a bell. Let me just look it up.
I think it's Big.
You mean Zombie Tramp?
Zombie Tramp. Yes, Zombie Tramp. So, like, Action Lab, like, he just went through a lawsuit with Action Lab. And I guess apparently he won that battle because they were creating the same situation. They basically stopped paying him. They took the name Zombie Tramp and they killed off his character and rebooted it with a new character.
Well, that's... Boy, they really don't like paying their artists, do they?
No, they don't.
These big companies. My God.
No.
A lot of these businesses have the money to keep you jammed up in court. So what DC will probably do is, even though they know that they will lose the actual, outcome, to make it as painful as possible, they will keep it tied up in court for as long as they can, because they can afford to keep, the lawyers just constantly, we need to change the date. We need to change the date. We need to change the date.
And I think that's what he's looking at is the fact of he doesn't have FU money the way, say, like J.K. Rowling does, and the guy's 67 years old. If I was his age, 67, like if I was in my 40s, I'd go into the battle. You know what I mean? If I was in my 40s, but at his age, is it worth the battle? I think he did the smart thing. Honestly,
I agree. Yeah, I think that was a smart thing. It's the best way to legally, fuck DC, for fucking him. Without having to incur any sort of like legal backlash. And they might try that there is a possibility that they might still try to financially hurt him because of what he did, but from everything I see so far, like he's well within his right to enter his IP into the public domain, which is hilarious.
The point is to keep him locked up in court costs, legal fees, things like that, constantly having to pay to go to a court that's going to be purposely away from where he lives. So every time he has to go to court, only for them to cancel at the last minute, making the trip a waste of money. That's what they're going to do.
Potentially. But not. But yeah, no. If this works, this could set a precedent that could really hurt a lot of these big companies.
Yeah.
When they try to screw over their creators.
I think and I know we've talked about this before about that they need to change the copyright law and stuff like that. I know all three of us have agreed on this before that the way Disney does shit and Marvel does shit and all this stuff is not right.
Disney was the one who purposely lobbied the government every time Mickey Mouse was about to enter. Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh, both of them. They were constantly lobbying the government to get the law changed to allow them to continue to maintain the rights over their copyrights. Because they knew that eventually, when they do finally lose that copyright, it actually end up hurting them, because then they no longer can control solely Mickey Mouse, like, for instance, products, because now and a schmuck down the street could slap a Mickey Mouse style logo. Now here, that's the key word: style. They cannot sue him for that at that point because it's no longer copyright infringement.
Yeah, and I guess apparently part of the thing here is because he actually puts in here, he was because I guess they're doing a new series called Fables: The Black Forest, and I guess apparently DC was pulling their bullshit again, and this is what kind of triggered the whole thing. Even though it was, you know what I mean, even though it was kind of ongoing and stuff like that, it just, yeah. Hey, Neo Star.
What up, Neo?
I'm trying to find there was a article that they were talking about that.
Okay. I just
Go
read
ahead.
an article about the thing. I think I'm caught up a little bit. So basically, Bill Willingham is saying, like, you know what? I'm just entering it into public domain. He made a Substack article saying, I officially released this into the public domain. That's all he really has to do to enter it into public domain, as far as I can tell. And this article here says that he can, because he's the sole intellectual property owner, he can just do that. He can put it into the public domain.
Yeah, but hold on, Josh. There
But
is
then
no
DC is basically saying, no, you can't.
right, because if you look at if you go to the copyright website under
Mhm.
Fables and you do a search, it has DC as part of copyright holder.
So, copyright holder, but not the owner of the intellectual property, which is like
right. So that's where the clarity has to come down.
I think doesn't that just mean that any of the stuff that they've made, people can't reproduce?
Yes.
And that's what I think that's what it comes down to. I think that's what it is.
So
because
ultimately,
he did. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm just trying to get my head around this. So ultimately, if someone decided, oh, since he's entered the Fable intellectual property into the public domain, you could do anything you want with that in creating new products.
Yeah, so
but you can't do anything with the old Fable products from DC. You can't say, like, I'm going to recreate this, or I'm going to, reprint it under my label or anything like that.
No.
Because that's their copyright.
Yes.
But you could make anything new. So if you decided you wanted to be like, I'm going to do a sequel to Fables, you can do that because he entered the IP into the into the public domain.
Right. So here is actually the tweet explaining it. Several questions poured in over the Fable rights. No, this does not include the right to reprint previously published Fable books and stories.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that was the case.
Yeah, he said, and if you come out with your own Fable books, others could not decide to reprint them. Create your own is the new order of things.
I like it.
So, like, literally, and I don't know if you guys know, in order for something to be copyrighted, it has to be brought forth. For instance, like, if you just do, like, a doodle, it's technically not copyrighted until, like, it's out in the public sphere. Like, people see it. Like, which is why you want to post your art in, like, say, Twitter or YouTube or whatever.
Or DeviantArt, for instance.
DeviantArt, yeah. So, because that's actually what technically puts it something as a copyright. Now, you can apply for a copyright, and then you can copyright it that way.
Yeah.
But it also has to be put out in the sphere that it is a property being written on and stuff like that.
Right,
so,
right.
yeah. So, I think, honestly, like, I think, and this is just my opinion, I don't know where you guys sit on that. Hothead and Neo, you guys can definitely interject too. I think we are seeing a paradigm shift. People are tired of big companies screwing over people.
The little guy, and especially artists and creators in general. Creators always get the short end of the stick because these goddamn corporate fat cat fuckers decide that, no, I want your money.
And here's the thought. Remember a year and a half ago when Razorfist went on, I think it was his last real rant about BattleTech and about how there were the foreshocks of it going, well, not his last, but it was one of the first foreshocks of BattleTech going well before he finally said it went woke like a few months ago. And I said, then we got to start building our own. I even put out a video about this.
Was that one of his
Razorfist, you're wrong. We got to start building our own. if we keep expecting these franchises to get back under our control, we will be holding our breath forever because of the fact that these corporations are not going to relinquish control until they finally collapse. And the
Yeah.
only way they'll collapse is if we make our own.
Yeah, no, it's true. But you know what? I like this idea. I think I might actually start checking out Fables. Check this series out and see if maybe I can't make a sequel.
Make
Yeah, you know what? I would happily do that just to give a big middle finger to DC. And you know what? I would make sure to.
Wait, hey, you've done it to Marvel. Josh, you did it to Marvel with your aged up Moon Girl.
I did.
So,
you know what? I've never been very good with authority. I've especially not been very good with malicious authority. So I like sticking it to these big guys, especially when like they can't do anything about it.
like, I have okay. So this is the I have nothing with company making money because you got to make money. Okay,
Of course.
The problem is, and I think a lot of us are just so tired of we see CEOs making. You know, there's somebody was just talking about, like, I guess apparently with the whole Unity thing, every CEO in Unity, while they were losing this $1 billion, they were paid $150 million salaries.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? And you know what? Like, oh wait, I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind. Go ahead, Bob.
This is where we in the West can learn from the East. In Japan, when a company started losing money, it basically it's kind of customary for the CEOs to take a pay cut, you know, do what they can to help, you know, lead by example to right the company from within.
Well, yeah, because when Nintendo was losing money on the Wii, instead of cutting people's jobs, the CEO's like, or one of the head leads is like, yeah, I'm not gonna take a salary here. I'm just gonna give it out to, and it's kind of like what Trump did. You know, when he got into office, he's like, no, you know what? I'm not gonna take a salary as a president. I'm gonna take $1. Rest can go to charity.
Well, the problem is that a lot of these, you know, like CEOs and stuff, they didn't watch Billy Madison, and they've forgotten that business ethics is important.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's one of those. They think virtue signaling is the way to go when we're like it goes back to what we've been complaining about for years with the state of comics and how they worry about current thing over the way comics were back in the day. Yeah, you had phases within comics, you know, the edgelord 90s and whatnot, and
And
I guess you could say like the 80s were very much the 80s in comics. I still say 80s Rogue is still, you know, number one waifu in so many ways, but
well, 80s was really about America.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is they didn't wrap that up. Like, it didn't, that's just everything that the comic industry is about. Whereas modern comics are about current thing. Like, take Starfield. I'm playing that. I kind of got it pause for the moment while we talk.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
No, I'm saying I'm sorry you're playing Starfield.
Oh. No, exactly. Like I said, it's fun. I'm not going to sit here and say it isn't. Now, is there a part of me whenever the woke stuff happens and it just kind of annoys me and I'm just kind of like, stop having fun? Yeah. But
no, I just refuse to play any game that like openly tells me that they got woke shit in it. I'm just like, no, I'll pass. I'll find something else. You know what? FromSoft, they don't do that.
I
can always just get a FromSoft game.
Yep.
Well, I'm partly playing it because I'm about to be comparing it to No Man's Sky, and one of the biggest things that really hurts that game is it's all about exploring, right? It's supposed to be you explore the galaxy like No Man's Sky. One problem: every time you explore the galaxy like No Man's Sky, the story is all like, "Hey, man, come on, come here." You stumbled across this? No, we've taken an hour and a half of your life. Ha 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 ha. You just
Yeah,
wanted to explore this system to be fun and be silly? How
Well,
dare you?
Well, you know what though? I think this whole thing with Fables, and Unity and all this like massive corporate greed just trying to absolutely screw the little guy out of existence, it's got people fighting back. It's got people recognizing now exactly what's going on, exactly how little these corporations think of you, and
yeah.
how much they actually openly despise you and want
Mhm.
to see you suffer. And so it's
It's
about
not that
time
they
that
want
people
to see you
recognize
suffer,
it, and
they
it's
just
nice
don't
to
care for
see
you.
that people are starting to take steps
Yeah.
into fighting back, because people have been too goddamn complacent with these corporations, expecting that they care about them and they want what's best for them for too
Especially,
long, and it's about damn time, I say.
Well,
and
to be
go
fair,
ahead, Bob.
when you look at things like the comic industry, you're already seeing what happens when people stop putting their money, into these woke corporations. That's why DC stops posting their numbers. That's why Marvel stopped posting their numbers.
Yep.
That's why, you know, IDW, Dark Horse, all the big, like,
Eh,
what we
well,
thought
yeah,
would be there, except for Antarctic Press. Antarctic Press will drop their numbers in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
yeah.
because they don't
Well,
have anything to hide.
Yeah,
and
and
you
and
see,
the big point I'm making is, and I'm going to also once again quote Razor Fist here, but this is a point he recently made. It's why they're going. The fact that these various companies have ran off their fan base due to them dipping their toes in wokeness, and when we said, "Hey, don't do that," they went looked at us and were like, "What? What's wrong with you, you bigot?" And we went, "Deuces, we out." Now they're broke, so now they have to go full woke, but that is causing them to slowly but surely croak.
Mhm.
well, and
You,
I think AAA gaming is going to go. It's going to go the same route that the big three in comics have gone.
Oh
You
yeah, it
know,
100% is. More and more people are leaving them, and there's very few AAA games that I actually still play. Like I was saying before, it's pretty much like mostly FromSoft stuff. Like anything that's good, I want to play. I want to play good games. But if you're pushing the wokeness, if you're pushing, like, I don't even care if your game is good. If you're pushing wokeness, if you're pushing pronouns and garbage like that in it, I'm not gonna play your game ever.
yeah.
I'm not going to buy it when it comes on sale. I'm certainly not going to buy it new. I'm not going to get it digital. I'm not going to get it physical. Nothing. I'm out. Period. And you're going to have to deal with those consequences. And more people are going to start recognizing this shit, and more people are going to start saying no. It reminds me very much of the angry video game nerd, James Rolfe, when everyone was saying, "Oh, we want to see your review of the 2016 Ghostbusters." He's just like, you know what? I don't have any interest in it. I don't want to watch it,
Yeah.
and I don't want to review it, and I'm just not going to. And
I,
everyone treated that like it was a scandal. But you know what? No, it's him putting out his standards. He's saying,
yeah.
obviously this is garbage, and you know what? I have seen it. It is garbage. It's absolute trash. Surprisingly, not the worst movie of that year, but by very slim margins.
So yeah,
And frankly, like, this is what has to happen. And you know what? You said that it's slowly going to happen, but that it's been slowly happening for a long time already. It's
it is
starting
picking
to
up.
ramp. It's starting to
Yeah,
ramp up.
yeah.
It's getting exponential. More people are becoming aware. More people are waking up to this garbage, and they're fighting back. The boycotts, the boycotts. People are going into what was
Look
it?
at Hogwarts.
There's
Hogwarts
Public Square
Legacy.
now, where we've got essentially like this entire directory of businesses that do
Mhm.
not push woke stuff, and it's thriving and it's growing.
I mean,
Yeah.
You've got
you have the whole bit that Tim Pool and his friends are trying to do with Public Square and everything in Miami, which is culture
right,
building, things like that.
right. They're trying to make a essentially a anti Times Square, where they've got all these
That
businesses
too.
that are very exceptionally and specifically not woke in any way. You know, actively building businesses around each other, making this space where people can go and get their
Yeah.
food, they can get their products, they can get their skateboard stuff, they can get whatever. and not be inundated constantly with the goddamn Rainbow Mafia woke cult garbage, because we're sick of it. And these and look at Target, and look at Bud Light. They went super woke, and everybody boycotted the shit about. They're losing money hand over fist. Bud Light had to sell off several of their beverage properties, to a Canadian weed distributor. And you know what? Good.
Yeah.
Suffer more. You make these decisions. You actively tell your customers that you hate them, that you want them to suffer, that you want them to buy, and yet you want them to buy your product. That's not how it works. If someone tells me "fuck you, I hate you," I'm not buying your product.
Well, you see this. You see the same thing happening. Like, what was it just recently?
Y'all got me heated.
No. And this is because this has been weighing on me for quite some time, and I kind of been wanting to get this out myself. Like, there was just recently. Okay, so you look at. Let's take Square Enix for a big example. So they Forspoken. They released Forspoken, and it tanked. They turned around. Train wreck. They released Final Fantasy 16. They released a demo, and all of a sudden it blew up.
Mm-hmm.
Because it didn't have woke shit in it.
Yeah, because nobody wants it. Nobody. Yeah. Nobody in Japan wants it. Nobody in America wants it. The people that are pushing this are a tiny, fringe, fractional minority of a minority. They're the only ones that care about this shit.
Like, you watch as much Tim Pool and Timcast IRL as I do. What does Tim constantly bring up? He brings up how a lot of this originated because of Occupy Wall Street, and it's actually the wealthy elites that are pushing this because of the fact that they understand that it's creating a divisive attitude amongst people.
Because
that kind of thing always has a breaking point. There's a cap to that division, because eventually people recognize things, people wake up, people notice things, people talk to other people, and when people, that's what they're terrified about. That's what they really are terrified about, is people talking to other people.
Why do you think that they constantly make sure to label anyone with an opposing opinion as others?
Well, that's why they went so hard in the paint for Elon Musk when he took over Twitter and decided, and he expressed that he was going to turn it into a proper free speech platform, which you still didn't do, Elon. Free Mr. Marvel.
I agree. People want to know. People want to know. They are worried. How is the Troy?
Troy's doing fine, as far as I know. I haven't talked to him in a while, but last time I checked in on him, he was just focusing on himself and family. But everything at Science Wizard is still going forward. We're still working on stuff. We got the secret comic, and to the audience, if you really like giving the middle finger to the big guys, get excited for our secret comic. I'll just say that. The rest is a secret. But yeah, everything else is moving forward. We got all our different projects. We got Pineapple Pizza Man is going. It's been super slow because I've been so busy with everything. And right now I also have to finish up that scene I was telling you about. And then I got a backlog of commissions that I have to get through before I can really dig into it deeper. I got about 16 pages left until I'm finished the first issue, which is a 46-page issue. It's not 21 pages. It's 46 pages. So it's a big first issue. It's more than a double-sized issue. And issue 2 is probably going to be bigger. And issue 3 probably be somewhere similar, around the same size, maybe even slightly less than issue 1. But we've got plans, and we're working towards it. It's just super, super slow because it's we're average Joes. We gotta work to survive. We gotta spend time with our families. We got to provide for them. We have to provide for ourselves. We need roofs over our heads. We need food in our bellies. We need clothes on our backs. And until Pineapple Pizza Man is out and actually contributing to that household, it's tough to spend more time on it.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a battle for sure. Like I was just actually talking. There's a new YouTube channel that I follow called the Y Files. Really cool. If you're a really big science nerd and stuff like that, it's a really cool channel. They just actually had an episode on multiverse the other day and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Well, anyhow, so I've gotten to know the content creator. He does a Discord channel and stuff like that, and I watch it. I go into it bi-weekly, and so I was talking to him about you know, just balancing that between work and getting money, making sure you're getting money as a creator, and getting the product out. And it's always that fine balance but
Yeah.
trying to do that. And it's hard, and as a small creator, I get that. Like, look how long we worked on Sportsman for. Yeah, it
Yeah.
didn't get to the popularity it did, but you know what? I love. You know what? I'm glad that we got it out in 500 people's hands. That's 500 people that would have never saw it before. I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
care. The way I look at it is, even if it never gets out there, another issue doesn't come out. I'm proud of what we did with those 4 issues and what we're doing with Spearhead.
Yeah.
It's ideas that we got out in there. I have other comic ideas that I want to work with, but
Right.
like you said, real life. I'm trying to, I'm actually trying to get to job promotion. I applied for a state job where I'm going to be a IT generalist one, and I'm looking at possibly about 61K a year.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
And then I also applied for cybersecurity because I have my degree in cybersecurity. That one could net me over 100K a year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
either those two jobs would offer me a lot more options. That's the problem. It's with what I have right now, it's a little tight.
Yeah. No,
So
I get you, man. And I think one of the biggest slowdowns with Pineapple Pizza Man more than anything is the fact that I'm the artist for it, and this is my first comic, and that's really important to us. That Theron and I, who are kind of like the co-creators of Pineapple Pizza Man, we want to make it like this, the main continuity. That's our baby. That's.
mhm.
But we're also working on additional stuff with other artists too. So we've got the secret comic that's going to come out around the same time as Pineapple Pizza Man. So there's going to be 2 comics. So that's going to be 46, 8. So that's going to be 58 pages of content. And then we've also got another artist working on a side story that is like based. It's essentially like a comic book within the Pineapple Pizza Man universe called Hero Man, and that's what our main characters like. They grew up reading these comics, and we have little action figures in the pages of the first issue that of those characters, and so we like they're little Mego figures. And so we wanted to do that as well. So we're going to have an artist working on that. So hopefully we can get that going as well soon, so that also kind of releases around the same time as Pineapple Pizza Man, because then we'll have like that'll be like over 100 pages of content releasing at
Nice.
the same time. Plus we've got we do have like One Pool 3 in the go. Like it's like the script is done. That's done. The cover is done. Although I might take a crack at recoloring it because I did the colors on the cover. Because I feel like I could do better now. I don't know. I'll have to ask Troy about that when I finally get back in touch with him. But yeah, and then we've got we've got Chicken Warrior as well. So I mean that unfortunately is also kind of like dependent upon Troy at the moment because like he's inking it. But I don't know if you guys saw some of the pages that we have released. I think they're looking pretty good. So that's another 30 pages of content. So when we may be going slow, but when we do release, like we're gonna be releasing a good chunk of content.
And I'm okay. Like, I know everybody's like, well, we need a, like the way I look at it is, I would rather have you guys work on this stuff and release it all at once instead of saying, hey, I'm gonna crowdfund for this. 3 years later, I'm gonna release, you know, my comic after
Right.
being on live stream
Yeah.
for 60 million years.
Yeah, exactly. And you
And
know what? Like we were like conscious of that because like we were late with One Pool.
yeah.
We weren't trying to be late. We wanted to be on time, but it's like we say, like shit happens, man. Troy was
Well,
going through some stuff.
yeah,
It wasn't easy for him to be able to like work on the comic all the time. And so,
well,
and then we had that problem with the printer who stole our money. So it's just like, like shit happens.
yeah.
And
Well,
we were very transparent about that. Some people were not very understanding, but you know what? That's unfortunate.
it is what it
happens.
is. Unfortunately, I know that because we're kind of facing the same thing. Like, I don't know if you know this or not, Josh. I didn't know if you got if you did back the comic or not. So
Pretty sure I did.
he hit me with a cease and desist.
Who did?
Eric
Your partner? Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Season
So
what?
yeah. So I was in the middle of lettering the comic.
You finished the crowdfunder.
Yeah. So
people paid for the product. You have to get it out.
Right. So because I had backed out of basically when I had that mental breakdown in the beginning of the year, and I backed out of the company. I said, but I'll still do the lettering and stuff like that because I didn't give him all the money up front. He wanted all the money up front, but there were and I put in there some personal reasons why I didn't give him all the money up front and stuff like that. He's like, well, since you're not going to give me the money all up front, and this is a letter he sent me with the cease and desist. He's like, you're not allowed to work on the comic.
That's stupid.
So basically, I basically at that point I'm like, you know what? Fine, boom. I'm not gonna do it. And I basically just let the comic. I didn't touch the lettering or anything like that until he sent that last email out. And I'm like, okay, if he's not gonna, I gave him money to actually, I gave him money to print the comic.
Yeah, he didn't do
it. To print the comic and to actually, because I already had the comic done with print files and everything. I had him waiting for him, but he went and did extra work. Like he had enough money to fulfill the comic and get it out, shipped out to everybody. Because he also had some stuff done. I just had to get paid from the money that I had or have technically. I have to take that and get the action figure stand done, and of course the metal prints done. And of course he wasn't buying that, so now he just completely dropped it. He went and released his own version of the comic, stripped me out of everything on the comic.
Huh.
Like he literally does not give me credit at all in the comic at all.
That's so unethical.
Yeah.
So is Sporkman still going to be released?
He can release if he needs to go out and print and release anything that's been done can be released. Like he can still sell the comic. Anything new going forward he can't sell unless he contacts Chris and move forward. I'm not talking to him at all because him and I just had a complete fallout.
Understandable.
And you guys know how you guys were with him. You know how he just
Well,
you know what I mean.
He wasn't particularly involved with things. Like you were really the face, head, and heart of Sporkman. Like he basically kind of sat back on his haunches and waited until he got the go ahead to do some small task, and always gave you a hard time with every single thing he had to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nothing new, and it's this just at this point it just seems like
to be fair,
the natural progression of things with him.
To be fair, as the one that has trouble with people a lot of times, I get that.
I get it. I get it too. I know exactly what it is to be stabbed in the back by somebody that you once trusted.
But at the same time, the point I'm making is there are some people within the circle that have actually put out comics successfully, and I'm not talking one and done. I'm talking several comics successfully that were all trying their very best to get Sporkman to the highest reaches that it could get. But every time something that was coming up that could actually really elevate Sporkman in a broader sense and get eyes on the character that would help sell more individual floppies, you had Eric get up there and be mad because he wasn't involved in the process. And it's like, well, then you got to sit down and break bread with these people.
Well,
If
how
you don't want to
about get
bread,
involved?
then shut the fuck up.
Yeah, get involved. Like, if you're upset that you're not involved in the process, get involved. It's not like you haven't had like the invites like constantly.
Yeah, see, and that's where I had the big problems with him. Like towards the end, he kind of got involved, and he like because
Too little, too late.
yeah, and it's like I'm like, dude, I've been trying to get you involved since 2017. You know, and you like, and yes, did I make mistakes? I'm not saying he is all to blame for everything. You know,
No, but he certainly didn't help.
No, he didn't help, and that's where I have the problem. I don't want to talk bad about him, but at the same point, I do want people to understand that having people who don't want to work with you or not like there was like there were things I acquiesced on to him like before the last campaign we ran the first time we ran Spearhead as the crowdfunding, the one we failed during the summertime. I kept telling him, no, I don't want to release it because I want to do a build up of the comic. Get it back in because we kind of haven't been in people's mind for a while. It was over a year since we released, and fulfilled Sporkman. So we kind of had to rebuild everything back up again,
right.
Because if you're not,
you got to do your marketing essentially,
right?
Your publicity.
So and he's like, well, no, I want to go live by this date. I'm like, dude, no, I need the lead time to do it. No. Finally, I just said, okay, we're gonna do it. If we fail, we fail. Because it's just like, and then he kept complaining. He's like, well, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? So I'm like, because you're not listening to what I said. And then the whole thing, with the whole thing with Indiegogo and Kickstarter. Indiegogo started to shadow ban. That's right, when Indiegogo was starting to shadow ban indie comics. I said, well, they're shadow banning indie comics. No, we should do that. We should release it on that because they're the ones that they're the ones that we did the best money on. I'm like, yeah, we did the most money on. The thing is, our Kickstarter was successful.
Yeah.
So we're building off that momentum. But and even Brian said the same thing. Brian's like, you guys should go with Kickstarter. That's where people are making their money, not on Indiegogo, unless you're CG. And, and even, of course, CG, we now know CG was getting screwed over at the same point on so many of their projects and stuff like that. So, like, I if it wasn't for me having that set date of, knowing I was going to go live on Halloween, I just really that September and October I just busted my ass doing promotion.
That's the thing. You, like you said, you built up, you got the word out, you were making sure to get people talking about the product. You didn't just drop it. And like the big thing that you were trying to do, and I know you were talking about this from the get-go, is like you wanted to make sure that you wanted to be able to get the artists working on the art ASAP. And in order to be able to do that, you knew you needed to have the crowdfund to be successful as quickly as possible. Because remember, you were even talking about having them start the early pages and you just pay out of pocket and get back when y'all get the crowdfund. This way, y'all know for a fact that the date that you wanted out, you will reach, and and then some.
Yeah, and then don't even get me started on how badly the artist kind of screwed up stuff. Like he really, there were pages that Eric approved that didn't even match the script.
Well, that's a problem. I mean, mind you, like I do believe that comics should be more of a collaborative process between artist and writer, but yeah, no, like you still have to have that like
right
approval at the end of the day. Like even if they do something different, like first off, they should let you know ahead of time what they're planning on doing different. Secondly, you still have to approve it. And if you don't like what they did, like they shouldn't go ahead and draw it. And if they do go ahead and draw it and you still don't approve it, then you should be able to say like, I don't approve this page. I need you to do it over again because you didn't do what I asked.
Right, like the first five pages of the comic flow really good. It's the last 15 pages. Like there are sections like some of the art like okay, so like there was a shot like so for those who don't know, I have a huge love of anime. I mean, that's well, almost everybody knows that. But
Yeah, that's obvious.
I'm really big on my two biggest shows are You're Under Arrest and Ghost in the Shell. So
Hmm.
I wanted to have this homage to You're Under Arrest. So there's scene with Miyuki, who's like the main character of You're Under Arrest. She actually is the cop, and she throws the keys to Natsumi. Well, the panels he swapped the panels so it doesn't flow right, and then on top of it, like he missed there's like a second section of that panel, like it was supposed to be like a far out zoom shot, and it was a close in. I'm okay with that, but it just didn't feel right by the way it was the panels were. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there was like it was messing up the flow of how the comic was. I think part of it was like it felt like Giffany was rushing and not taking the time, and Eric was like just pushing forward to get it done,
Yeah.
you
That
know.
sounds like he just wanted to get that payday ASAP.
But here's the thing: we wouldn't have broke even on the comic anyhow.
Yeah.
So that's the problem is we wouldn't have even made any money anyhow. I would have actually had to pay out money, which I still need to pay out money, extra money out of the 3,000 that we did raise. I gave him, a good chunk, and then I got to actually pull out of my own funding to get comics of Sporkman now printed because he since he won't do fulfillment, I have to print and get those done.
Yeah, and you gave that money to him to do the printing. So
Hmm.
so you're going to be doing the printing and fulfilling yourself then for
Yep.
Sparkman. Okay.
Yep.
No, that's good. That's good. Like, and do you think
But
he'll?
it's gonna take me a little bit longer because I have to move in
Well, yeah,
next month.
makes sense.
Yeah, I have to move next month, but I at least put out an update to everybody telling them what's gonna happen. It's definitely we're looking probably the beginning of next year. I'm probably gonna be able to start fulfillment. But yeah, because I'm gonna have to break up how I'm gonna do how I have to do the payments to get everything done. I'm gonna have to break it up because I don't want to kill myself and not have any money to get things done. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, no, it's tricky. It's
So
tricky. Like I,
yeah.
I, I get that, man. Like I got a crazy schedule. It's ridiculous.
So
But
yeah, so
I'm
yeah,
working. I'm figuring it all out. And we still haven't even moved into our place. Like this is at my mom's place. Like
oh,
we still have a ton of renovation to do. I wanted to do some work, on the apartment today, but sometimes you have to rely on other people.
yeah.
And
And
sometimes you
speaking of
can't.
Neo does have a cameo in Spearhead.
Nice.
So yeah, so like that panel he got good. That panel came out really good with Neo. How how I wanted it to look good. Like so there was like some good panels, but there like just the way they were arranged, like the flow was missing. And I think part of the problem is when you're doing something in 20 pages that you actually need more pages to get the flow correctly. And that's the downside. So like if I were really this is just me, if I were to ever redo Spearhead, I would actually probably push stuff to like 20, 23, maybe 30 pages. What actually would need to be done on that script. So, but I'm moving on. I got other stuff in the works. I have I don't know if you saw Josh. I'm going to show you this. Give me a second here. Let me bring this up. So I have a new character. Her name is Ayumi. She is from a series that Bob and I kind of came up with the idea. I came up with the concept, and Bob's helped me tweak it a little bit and stuff. It's called Dead Moon Detectives,
Dead
and
Moon
it's
Detectives?
yep, and it's basically about a serial killer who kills on the dead moon. And there's actually an actual literal dead moon. There's every so many years the moon. There's a sliver of time where the moon does not shine.
Wait a minute, isn't that the name of a indie comic that's already in production? Hold on a second.
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay, no. It's a similar title. It's Detective Dead Crimson Moon.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say. So yeah, let me.
Yeah,
So
that was an old Comicsgate one that I actually had bought into that, and then the creator,
never
like
got
he had
fulfilled. Yep.
he never got fulfilled. Like I don't know what the creator did there. I can't remember. Scorn Comics.
Wasn't it 30? Didn't he get like 32? Oh, technically it was Sean C. Cruz that made the cameo.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
hey Neil,
he got a good chunk of money for that. He got 52,000 Canadian. I don't know what it was
that
in
might be like
US.
32. Yeah, like
Something
32,000.
like 30 to 40,000 around there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think he overpromised, like because he only had like three different tiers. Like the art was really good, so he was probably paying out the ass just on the art. And then he kind of overpromised, like it was going to be a hardcover, and like he just couldn't afford it at the end of the day. So yeah, I don't know if that's ever going to see the light of day. We'll see. Yeah.
So that's the character. She was created in Honey Select.
Honey Select. I don't even know what that is.
It's basically that is a H game, but you can actually it has like content creator characters that you can create, and there's a whole team that makes mods and everything for it.
Okay. All right.
Funny is all the mods are created in Unity.
Ooh.
And I'm wondering if that's why, because this is also built in Unity too. I'm wondering, and the company that created Honey Select went out of business.
Oh, okay. So they don't have to worry about getting
Yeah,
charged for that on the back end, like they're promising to do with everyone else.
but still,
I just hope they go after Nintendo with that. Like if Unity goes to Nintendo and be like, well, your Pokemon Go has been installed like 2 billion times. You owe us
so I do also have.
$200 million.
So I want to show you here. Here's my Honey Select version of Natsumi.
Yeah.
She's gonna be a cop. Of course, my shout out to Brian. That's my version of Regina. And this is like another character I have. Her name is Nina Jefferson. So it's going to take place in America. Basically, what it is about is her brother and her brother's parents were murdered by this killer, and he basically what he does is he now Bob and I haven't settled on what we're going to do. And like how I want to have it where the killer actually takes the characters and makes them in the shape of the and basically kills them and poses them in the shape of the rune.
Okay.
Bob was saying something about actually like carving it more into their skin and stuff like that.
More proper ritualistically into the various like the organs are like for the rune for heart. The heart is actually removed from the body and the rune carved into the heart, and then put back in type deal.
Yeah, so basically the whole
There's a
thing
couple
of it
different
is
ways you could do that. I think that
yeah.
I think Chuck's idea of because you also got to think about the fact that it's a visual medium in comics, right? So
Yeah.
I think Chuck's idea of having them actually like organize like the bodies in some way into the form of the rune. I think that's a better, a more visually appealing way to do it personally. But yeah.
Yeah,
But
so like
whereas I see the whole like the way I envision it going is you just see you don't see the person's face, but you see like someone like cutting out the heart, and you see the heart in their hand as they carve the rune into it and shove it back into the body. Like that's the visual I get, like the very horror-esque, like classic horror visual.
yeah.
Sure.
So like yeah. But the whole thing is what it's supposed to do is it's going to be summoning we are adding kind of the spiritual side to it where it is actually going to be summoning someone. I have it where it's summoning Lilith. And this killer basically is trying to summon Lilith. And it's making a pact with Lilith on providing Lilith to come into our world and stuff like that. Well, originally, why the killer didn't succeed the first time is because the parents were killed, and they basically, like the killer got away, but he wasn't able to complete his job. So it's 30 years later, he's trying to restart the killing again.
Hmm. Okay.
So, and like I said, the sister and the brother have the con. So the sister's a cop, and the brother's actually a lawyer. So they're trying to solve these new murders and stuff like that because they're reminiscent of. So they don't know if it's the murderer again or if it's a copycat. So they got, how in real true crime they got to figure out, is this really the killer or is this a copycat killer? You
Yeah.
know, because that's one of the things that always you struggle with, in true crime and stuff like that. So yeah, that's just part of the idea we were working with. And by the way, and then you remember me working on my Christian comic called Volt Chaos and the Myth Gods. So I got some more script written in that. But there for a while, like I literally, Josh, and I was talking with Bob about this. Like I literally went through like such a time where I could not write or do anything because it was just like I was so overwhelmed,
Mm.
like mentally, physically, everything. So, yeah. But since this summer I've been kind of getting back into, was finally able to break through that, and I got myself. And part of it was I realized that Eric was part of the problem.
Yeah. No, I mean sometimes you
So,
gotta cut
yeah,
toxic people out of your life entirely. Just
and
move on.
yeah, don't get me wrong. Like I love Eric. He's like a brother, and I would give him the shirt off my back. The problem is, like, I just couldn't keep being around them. Every time I would get down there, like I was always depressed around them. Like they're just talking negative about people, and then there were some shady things going on in the background with personally wise on Eric's end, and it was just like really and then of course my faith was struggling too,
Yeah.
my walk with Christ was struggling and stuff like that. So like it really just came to a head, and really like I'm like, you know what, something's got to change. I just gotta not just cut everything out, just cut out what I felt was causing a problem. And I'll tell you, since I cut that part out, like mentally, like my clarity's back, my health's on track. Dude, I've lost 13 pounds.
That's good.
You
Yeah.
know,
Congrats.
yeah, the doctor got me on. There's medication they got me on for my diabetes that has actually now got me to where my IBS is not acting up. Where like I'm actually like, I still struggle with sleeping, but you know, yeah, we lost you, Josh. Are you there?
No, I'm right here.
No, I'm still here.
No, Josh. I thought we lost Josh there. Oh,
No, I was
your,
just
your
listening.
screen froze up.
No, I was just standing still.
Yeah, you're
Wait,
roboting now.
wait.
Oh, am I?
He
Oh,
was
okay.
practicing his best Drax. He thought if he stood there perfectly still, he would disappear.
Nobody could see me.
Yeah, so like for me, like it was just like there was, like, am I 100%? No. The nice thing is, like, now I have a follow up with my doctor here on Tuesday. He's probably going to increase my medication, but yeah, so like there's like a lot of the I was like physically like breaking down, I was having a hard time working, getting moving around, like I was literally like almost like like your body's breaking. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, I
And
get you.
so like it just like I just think I was just letting, and the doctors even told me, my family doctor even told us, he's like you're letting the stress levels basically drive you too much. So yeah, so basically, yeah, so like I have a lot of things going on, like I've been working on uh you know work. I mean, just got a good, really great review from my work. Like they've been really pleased with what I'm doing. So the
No, when you tell them all that if they don't give you a good review, you will have all their families killed. They generally like perfect Russian accent and everything. I mean, you're gonna get a good review. I'm just
no, I would do, but yeah. So like my work's been really pleased with what I'm doing. My just heard from one of my coworkers the other day. Like everybody's like, I'm stepping up volunteering, and then like they're really liking what I'm doing at work. So like things are really doing good. Now, am I going to get hit with another trial soon? Sure, because that's just how life is.
There
But
is.
it's how you rise up against it. But yeah, so like yeah, I really I'm really moving forward, I have these ideas. I'm working on. Oh, yes. So the other thing I wanted to say is Celerity. I got some work on her. Celerity is basically about a girl who gets superpowers from a dark matter explosion, from a CERN accident. And basically, her powers come from dark matter, and she's a speedster. So I actually have uh, 13 pages of the outline done on that. Like this, like how the visuals are going to be in the script and stuff like that. Like I know where that's going. So like I've gotten like I'm not sitting down hours writing comics, but I'm taking little chunks and writing. When I get the idea to work and stuff like that. So things are getting better. And like, I'm just taking time detoxing. I'm trying to stay off internet as much as possible, which is why I don't do the streams as much, so I don't want to burn out, so.
Yeah. Burnout's not
And
good for you.
no, and I think that's the thing is we were going so hard I mean, it's just not me. It's all of us, Bob, Josh, Troy, Brian, Tim Lim, we're all doing this. We're just busting our asses, and we're pushing and pushing, pushing. And I think we've gotten great things for what's going on, but, sometimes life kind of hits you in the ass it's how you bounce back, in my opinion. So.
Oh, I'm about to be buying I think it's a 13 by 17. I'm just saying.
So yeah, Neo. I hate seeing the end of Sporkman 2 because I love the character. I mean, it is such a great character and concept. I just think I think that if I had more help from Eric in the ways that him having my back, the way I had his back, I think it would have, I think it would have went further. And the thing is, not everything that Brian does or what everything Josh does or what everything Bob does is going to work for us, but it's finding out what would work for us and not having that support behind my partner not supporting me on that. It's kind of like a marriage, you know what I mean? When a business is a lot like a marriage. If you don't got both you on the same page, and Josh, I know you can relate to this. When you're both not on the same page, it does make a marriage hard.
Well, no, I can't really relate to it because my wife and I have always been on the same page.
Okay, well, but
No,
you have
okay,
had
but it's easy
disagreements.
for you
No, I
to
know,
be
I
on
know,
the
I know,
same
but
page
I know
with
what you
your
mean.
breaking the
It's true
turnaround.
though. You do have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Like you can't. Just as an example, like if you want kids, and your significant other doesn't, that's a
Yeah,
problem. That's
that
inevitably going to lead to serious issues within the marriage. So it's
yeah,
like you got to figure that stuff out ahead of time. And the most important thing for any relationship is communication. And I've always stressed
Yeah.
that right from the beginning with everyone that I collaborate with and especially within when it comes to like considering someone for marriage and stuff, like that was a super huge important thing. Took me a while to like really get that lesson solidified in there. Don't get me wrong. I dated for like a decade and it was awful.
Hey, I'm glad you found someone because I tell you what, the dating market right now, because I've been looking, it is a disaster zone. I mean,
And
it
y'all
is a
wonder why I just don't look no more.
I'm telling you, it's like I would honestly, and I was telling my sister about this the other day because we still live together and stuff like that. We were talking about it. I'm like, why should I get remarried? I mean, if I don't find the right person, I go into it, if I can't, if they can't even agree on what you can date on, how are you even going to get to a marriage beforehand? So yeah, communication is the biggest key, and what I am I guilty? Maybe I didn't communicate enough with Eric, but it was just like when I would tell him something, I'm the type of person, when I tell you, I expect you to listen to me. Problem is, constantly have to retell him, hey, I told you this, I told you this, I told you this, I told you. Oh, I don't remember. You have to email me. Why do I need to constantly remind you in email? No, I should only have to tell you once. If I can remember this, and trust me, my memory is not the greatest. If I can remember shit as important as that, yeah, somebody
Hold
else
on,
can.
no. Let's rephrase it. You tell me things that you'll be like, you'll mention it. I'm like, wait, no, I don't. Oh yeah, and I'll remember. And let's be honest. I have certain. I hope that came through. I hope that.
No, I get it. No, I think in anything we do, and I think all of us have done this. Is talking. The best thing to how anything moves forward, disagreements or whatever you have, talking is the best thing. That's the only thing that's going to move things forward. You have to talk everything out, even if you disagree or argue with each other. It's all about
And unless
communication.
unless you're Josh's wife, like I said, she makes sure they're on the same page by waving the gun around. I'm just saying.
You're muted, Josh.
I was gonna say waving the gun around. What are you talking about?
Okay, so the reference to a Dennis Leary joke that he did. Oh man, I think it was Locked and Loaded.
Okay.
Stand-up comedy special. He was talking about how his kids are great, but something along that lines. But of course they're great when I'm constantly waving the gun around.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Man, it's been a long time since I've listened to Dennis Leary.
So there's a video that just went up. Hollywood writers and actors to get unemployment benefits.
No,
No, they shouldn't.
that is okay.
They are choosing not to work. That is not unemployment.
And it's different than say, like, for instance,
but it is it's commie formula. What do you expect?
California, yeah.
Commie formula.
Here's the thing: we're talking about individuals who, one, let's be honest, other than like the rare, for instance, Oppenheimer. Apparently, the Barbie movie was actually pretty good, even though there's a lot of like. They're obviously dunking on men in the movie. At least it was well written, dunking. You have
agree to disagree.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pay the money for it.
Same.
My sister,
I don't know.
my sister made me. I rode the high seas for it. So
I wouldn't know. I'm just going off. I've heard both people say it was bad in man hating and it was good in man hating. So
yeah, like it's one of those things that I think we are like I didn't pay to watch the movie. My niece really wanted me to go because we went and saw Super Mario Brothers together, But she's been a big Barbie fan. She's like, "Well, why don't we go? You, me, and Mom, Melanie, my sister." I'm like, "Nah, I'm not interested. It's Barbie. It's for women. You can go." It's not my thing. But besides, I've read enough about what the movie was about, so I don't need to watch it. Like I'm good.
Right.
I'll download it for her. She wants to rewatch it. I'll download it for her. Give me John Wick 4.
You know my stance. I'm just not going to watch any of the crap that they put in front
but
of me.
the point I'm making is for every like success that's actually fair. Like I'm going to just stick to Oppenheimer then. Like that is well written, actually good.
Yeah.
Versus the rest of the dreck, and more often than not, the movies that are like that, like Nolan writes his own movies, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So he's not like you writers aren't even a part of like, for instance, his movies. So of course, once again, no one's going to see your movies. Nobody cares about anything you put out. Nobody wants to be playing the majority of the games that are coming out because of how blatantly bad the writing is, and like things like that. Like there were several instances where you see like there was a game, for instance, where a chick's like, "Did you just see that big monster beast that I just took down?" All like very snarky. That's like every character.
That was Forspoken.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Did I just do that? I just did that.
Yeah. So it was like really, it was like.
But that's modern writing, and that's what you get. That's
Hollywood quality has been on the decline for a really long time, and it's hitting a boiling point right now. And while there are still some good things getting out there, like here and there, it's getting to be fewer and fewer good
Yeah.
things, and people are
Yeah.
noticing, man. Like, and you know, the indies are on the rise with that. I mean, like, look at
People are moving to
Sound of
YouTube.
Freedom. Sound of
Yeah.
Freedom. You know, that
Yeah.
movie did gangbusters for like a little indie film that cost, you know,
Yeah.
14 million to make. That's
And
pretty
that,
fantastic. And it was
But
a
that's
really good movie too.
but that's QAnon. That's QAnon.
That's
I know
horseshit.
it. I know it's hard, but here's the
Anyone
thing.
who's actually seen the movie knows that's a load of bullshit.
Hey
but
Josh,
that's
like
the point.
here's the one thing I would say. Like I don't get wrap my head around. You would think people on both sides would think that child trafficking is a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but because a right wing actor or something made a movie saying that child trafficking is bad, suddenly all the left is just like, no, child trafficking is good.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like
Come
it's
on.
like yeah, it's disingenuous. That's why I don't like I'm tired. Like I've argued that since 2015. Like if you think about like all the movies, like you said, we started seeing since 2015. If you think about like all the big hits, were not until like this past year. Almost all the big hits were sequels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, you gotta figure we were still riding high in 2013 of the golden age of comic book movies. This is back when, because remember, following year, what did we get? We got arguably one of the greatest comic book movies ever made. Not greatest, that's reserved for Deadpool, but one of a strong second place, which is Captain America: the Winter Soldier.
Soldier. To me,
Great movie.
that was one of the best movies. That was to me pinnacle. That was pinnacle Marvel right
It
there.
was.
Yes.
It really was. Now, well, this is something that I actually was talking to Peter Samedi just the other day on my stream. Is one of the biggest issues with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this actually ends up being like with Hollywood as a whole as well, is homogeneity in the
Yes.
films.
Yep.
Like one of the things I was saying to Peter was like in the early MCU, you had variety. You had
Yep.
all like these what was it, 4 different films. You had Captain America, you had Iron Man, you had the Hulk, and
Thor.
Thor. Thank
Thor.
you. And
Yeah.
so you had these 4 major movies. They were their own separate movies. They were, you know, completely self-contained. They had their own tone in each of them. Each of them had their own tone. Each of the
Yes.
characters was very noticeably different in how
Yeah.
they acted, how they thought, the choices they would make. You know, their personalities were very different. Okay, and then you get the Avengers, and well, not my favorite of that first early bunch. I thought it was actually pretty poorly done. I don't think Joss Whedon was the right guy for this. What you did though is you brought these characters together, and because of those differences, because of that difference in tone and those personalities, and
Right.
those personalities are going to clash, those tones are going to clash, and it's going to make things more interesting. And then you should go back, you know, you should go back to do their own tones, like keep the tone that you have established with that character in their series, or you know,
Well-
That's why I thought like when they did
But-
Civil War, like for me that movie really destroyed the MCU.
Yep.
in a sense, yes, and I think Peter was saying something similar to that. But like, my point though is that as the MCU went forward, each of the movies started feeling more and more the
The
same.
same. Yeah.
It was all the same stuff, the same quippy attitudes, the same personalities, the same tone, the same jokes, like the same pacing. It was all extremely formulaic, and they've essentially completely abandoned that variety that made the Marvel Cinematic Universe worth watching.
Yep,
And
because when
and
you
I was a let me tell you though, this has gone on for like what, 20 years now of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
almost 20. 2008
Almost-
was
Yes.
Yeah, almost 20
So,
years
15.
now. And I was a die-hard MCU guy. I
Yeah.
loved those movies. I've watched them so many times, all of them. Phase Basically, like as soon as Captain Marvel came out, that was the death for me. Like, it was already kind of like starting to be a little bit like,
It was on life
it's all,
support.
it's
It was
getting,
on life.
it's
Yeah.
it was getting pretty cookie cutter, and I was having a hard time like caring anymore. And I'm just like, they all seem the same, so I'm just like, which movie do I want to see? I keep going back to the same ones. I keep going back to Iron Man 2, Winter Soldier, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy. And like all these new ones, I'm just like, I just don't care. They all feel like the same damn movie with different skins. It's like a video game. You just like change out the skins, so you're playing the same story, and it's basically just Spider-Man or you know, well,
So
actually more like
he,
it's
he,
it's Star-Lord, but like with like a Captain America skin, or like with an Iron Man skin, or like with a Spider-Man skin, you know.
Josh, it's funny you say that because if you look at the first Thor, first Captain America, and the first Iron Man, they were all bright movies.
Yeah,
Like they were
yeah, they
fun.
had
They were
color.
bright. They were bright movies. They were fun. They were like you know, you had Captain America, which was the serial movie, which I think was the smartest thing they did.
But most
Like
importantly, they were true to what the comics established for
right
those characters.
Like, while
when
Captain
you
America took liberties, it still
hold
was
hold
proper.
hold on. Let me go. Do you notice on the second movie of all three were all dark?
Mm.
Think about it. Winter Soldier, very, very dark. You had Iron Man 2, you know, which was very dark. And you had Thor, Dark World.
I don't know if I would say Iron Man 2 is very dark. I recall like quite a bit of color in that, actually.
No, I'm talking in terms of themes. Like, it was very.
Oh, you mean like
Yeah,
tonally? Okay.
totally. It was very dark. Yeah. Like, so, like, the first movie, meaning bright, meaning totally, they were all about adventure, having fun. And, like, you were having fun in the movies. The
Yeah.
second one's got a little bit darker. Then the third
Right.
one's got really dark. Like, it totally. Like, you know, like they were
Except
made.
for
Not for
Ragnarok.
Thor. Thor Ragnarok was far from dark.
Oh.
That was part of the problem, though, like, because it just basically abandoned all of the tone
Well, that's.
that,
Yeah, but
that
that's.
Thor
Yeah,
had established, you know?
yeah, because I think because you had. Yeah, Thor, because that came after. Thor 3 came after, you know, the whole MCU, like the total shift. But I'm
Yeah.
talking about, like, yeah, so, like, but you can do the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy. The first two Guardians of the Galaxy were fairly decent. I just
Yeah.
watched the third
Oh,
one. I'm like, what the fuck? The third one was just so. No, I'm sorry. Like, I hated. Like, I
Really?
loved. I loved. Hold on. I loved Raccoon's backstory,
Yes.
but overall, I thought the movie sucked.
I
Agreed.
completely disagree. Yeah, no,
Okay.
I thought Guardians 3 was one of the only shining spots to come out of Phase 4, and that's what I was getting to. Was that in Phase 4, like, I've seen a total of 3 movies, and how many have they had? They've had what, like Shang-Chi,
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. That's one of the ones I've seen. Spider-Man, Guardians 3. That's one of those are the other two that I've seen. Spider-Man,
Thor,
Guardians, and other one.
Thor
And then they got
Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok, or Thor Love and Thunder. Sorry.
Yeah, Love and Thunder.
Did not see it. Shang-Chi, did not see it.
Shang-Chi was pretty good.
Eternals, don't forget Eternals.
Oh, the Eternals!
yeah.
I forgot about that one. I didn't see that one either. I had no interest in it. I did not see Captain Marvel too. That was Phase 3.
Press up in chat for me. I worked in a movie theater with Captain Marvel, the Eternals. Shang-Chi wasn't like it was a meh movie, but it wasn't as bad as like Eternals. It wasn't as bad
Yeah.
as Captain Marvel. It
Here's
was
the
actually
thing.
not that bad.
Shang-Chi basically was a wushu film. Is really what it was. It was not like your traditional MCU film
But
at
here's
all.
the thing, like, they
Making it more
didn't do
like a movie. Yeah,
they
it was
didn't
like
do
they tried
anything.
that.
They didn't do anything to try and entice me. Like, I love Shang-Chi. I'm actually one of those few people who is familiar with Shang-Chi as a character from the comics. Like,
The fight
I was very early on saying, oh man, you know what would be a really good idea for a Marvel movie? Shang-Chi, because then you do that, like, you know, that martial arts, wushu, kung fu, you know, kind of like Jackie Chan and Drunken Master or something like that. Like,
Yeah, but
bring back that old school kind of like kung fu movie and have
But
that
they
in
didn't do that.
the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I was just like, that would be awesome. But then it comes out and they've got these like over-designed costumes,
Yeah.
And instead of the rings, they're bracelets, and there's like all. It just
The Mandarin didn't even. The guy claiming to be the Mandarin once again was not even the Mandarin.
it was not the
You know.
Mandarin. I'm just like, why are they so terrified of the Mandarin? Oh, right, because they're cucking to China.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So like there were things I didn't like, but like really what it was like to me, it was like the newer wushu films, not like the older ones. The ones from Hong Kong era. Because
Yeah,
those are the good wushu films.
and
The ones that Wu Tang. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, they would still be about $1 billion to spare, no matter what.
yeah,
Um,
it's
but
Speaking
ridiculous.
of real quick, can I please finally accept the win? Because was I not saying back in when we first started doing Meeting the Minds, I said Marvel's about to start seeing an end to the $1 billion movies, and other
yeah,
than Spider-Man, I think
Well,
No Way Home,
they've
I
been getting
found a break.
losses.
Yeah, it's like even Doctor Strange was losses, and it had a lot of things that people wanted to see, but it did not break a billion.
Dude, that movie had a lot of problems. Like it's one of those movies kind of similar to the whole Force Awakens, where the more you think about it, the worse it gets. Right? Like
hmm
when you're watching it the first time, you're like, okay, you're kind of distracted by the glitz, the glam, and the
The turn of character.
the spectacle of it. And
Yes.
then the more you think about it, the more you're just like, well, that wasn't very good. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. That was kind of stupid. This character was annoying. That made no sense. That was dumb. That was really stupid. That was out of character. Like all these things that you just start thinking about, and you're just like more and more. You're just like, I really didn't like it all that much. Like,
Yeah,
like what I liked was spectacle, and that was it. Like, it was lacking in what's the word?
Heart.
It was lacking the meat. It was lacking the nutrition of the meal. It was all salt and sugar with no substance. It was very lacking in substance,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and and
I would
I'm
say
just
it was
seeing
lacking
like Spider-Man No Way Home. It's like,
heart and soul.
okay, that was an okay movie, not bad, but it's like it just it was nostalgia the movie.
Yes.
It was nostalgia the movie. Like if you didn't have you know Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in that thing, and all of their villains returning, it's like what would you have? Essentially, I think they were basically doing a we really want to get to the Sinister Six ASAP, but we can't because we haven't established any of these characters with Spider-Man. All we've got is the Vulture and Mysterio. That's it. And I think they killed Mysterio,
I
or
did
at
believe
least
it.
they. I don't think they actually did. Like I think the whole point was like, yeah, it was a false flag. Even
yeah.
even his death was fake. I mean, it's Mysterio. Like, what else are you gonna think?
Yeah.
I have argued that I'm sorry that Spider-Man, that is not Spider-Man.
Mm.
The Tom Holland versions, they're not Spider-Man.
I actually really do like Tom Holland as Spider-Man and as Peter Parker. I think he does a good job, but it's just like
Like he didn't like script.
everything around him just isn't right. You know what I mean? Like Flash Thompson is like a little wimp kid, and it's just
Yeah.
like
Where's
I don't buy him as a bully. Okay.
yeah.
Like
See,
not
and
to
that's
mention, let's go into the fact that you have his love interest and his best friend were both Miles Morales' friends
Yeah.
and love interest. You
yeah.
have the fact that the first movie was just kind of like I said before. If I wanted to sit through 2 hours of watching cringe, I'd record myself doing my thing and then watch it. Not in a Spider-Man movie though. And then you had his second movie where once again I only saw it because I worked at a movie theater and I heard the movie, and it literally struck me as Spider-Man not trying to be Spider-Man. Let's do Spider-Man 2 again without it actually being even remotely as good as Spider-Man 2. Like, because they were trying to have that same emotional, do I want to be Spider-Man? Without having that emotional, do I want to be Spider-Man? All right. And then you get to the third one, and it's all right. We actually have a solid story, but it's mainly because they would not have been able to get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield on board if it was a shite story.
Well, but even then, like there were reports saying that like they didn't even know what was happening in that movie, like until the day until they were actually like shooting scenes, because apparently the script was changing on a daily basis. I think a lot of that was probably due to them, desperately trying to prevent people from like revealing any details about the movie, because this was like one of their big gambles, right? It's just like, well, we gotta keep it secret that we got Tom Holland, or sorry, not Tom Holland, but Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in there.
Well, it also
Yeah.
incorporates those movies into the MCU officially. Because now this officially makes the Amazing Spider Man movies and the Tobey Maguire Spider Man movies officially MCU movies because now those characters are established as existing within the Marvel multiverse officially. So, and it's also part of like having a Patrick Stewart playing Xavier in and Wolverine and being in the new Deadpool, how they're going to, these are being introduced into the MCU. Which, if you ask me, the smart money would have been just having fucking Deadpool would be the reason why the Fox movies are now a part of the MCU, and fans would be like, yeah, Deadpool would be a cause of some shit like that.
You know what I fear? I fear that what they're going to do is they're going to make Deadpool essentially Deadpool kills the Fox universe and Deadpool kills the Sony universe and Deadpool like I fear that they're using Deadpool 3 as a way to destroy everything that's come before, so
Yep.
that they could say like MCU is the only superheroes, like Marvel superhero stuff that exists. Stop looking at those other things. Stop remembering those other things with fondness.
Well,
Only
kind
care
of.
about the MCU, and I feel like that's what they're going to be doing. I mean, DC basically tried to do that with Michael Keaton's Batman. Like they brought him in to the Flash for this like this like multiverse crossover thing, and then all they do with that, like all like just so that they could kill him off and be like, ha, there, Keaton's Batman is dead. Stop thinking about him. Care about our version of Batman. Look, we got Ben Affleck Batman. And I'm just like, I don't care. Oh, look, we've got Sparkle Twilight Batman. I don't care. And I tried to watch The Batman. Awful movie. Awful,
It'd be like
awful
3 days for
garbage.
that movie.
Yeah.
I
Well, yeah.
couldn't get through it. I was like 25, 30 minutes in. I'm just like, nothing's happening. I'm just like, my wife was just like, can we shut this off? I'm like, yes, let's get out of here.
I agree with you there. They've tried doing it very art housey and like the slow roll detective story. And it's like, yes, you can do a slow roll detective story with Batman, but it's gotta be interesting. Like,
It's to be.
all right, you see him beat up the thugs there in the beginning, and then the next, like, 30, 40 minutes is not him in the cowl, but him moping about
He's just like
him being Bruce Wayne.
So
he's just sulking at the and like working on his computer. He's like, I'm doing a detective.
you know, the
I'm
ol- the
detectiving.
only- the only thing that was Batman in that entire movie was the Penguin.
I disagree. He was the most un-Batman thing ever. Because he wasn't the Penguin. He was just some dude. He was just a guy. He wasn't like deformed or anything. He didn't look or sound anything like a penguin. There was nothing penguin-y about him. He was just some mob guy.
But it's technically they're starting him out before he becomes a Penguin. Well, but the thing is, like I come back to, like, okay, so that was not the Riddler. That was Saul, basically.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the design. I never even got to the Riddler.
Yeah,
I forgot about that
the
mask.
The whole aspect of the
Stupid.
Riddler's character was, he was Saul. And I'm like, okay, so you want to have, he's a right-wing thing. Well, first off, right-wing killers are not like that, because there's very few right-wing killers, that are, if you actually take a look at most serial killers, they tend to be leftists.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I know. I mean that checks out. Just like that would be what I would assume because they're so embroiled in their emotions, and a lot of most murders are crimes of passion and of emotion, and so like the people who are emotional, those are the ones that are going to do the most of the killing.
Yeah, you do have. I mean, there's been a few right leaning people, but like majority, if you look at most of your serial killers, your crime people that are they're all tend to be very leftist. Like I said, you do have some of them, but okay, so like Batman. I'm sorry to say, like if you looked at politics wise, Batman would definitely be a rightist. Like he would be on the right. He would definitely be a conservative because in terms of that. But like the biggest thing is like the thing with that movie, like I that really pissed me off about that movie. Like they literally threw Thomas Wayne under the bus. And Thomas Wayne was like a philanthropist. Like he like literally risked
they're always
bankrupting.
Doing that.
Like they were risking to bankrupt his entire company to be this. Yeah, so like it was like bullshit. I'm like, okay, and then Zoe Kravitz was not Catwoman at all.
No, not at all.
And I'm like, that first off, that you would never see Bruce besmirching Thomas's Wayne in any way.
And that like that chemistry was just non-existent between the two of them.
Yeah.
No chemistry whatsoever. It was so forced.
Yeah, it is. Like, do I think? Like, I just think that Like, I'm sorry, I would take Ben Affleck over, who, Twilight guy.
Ben Affleck's Murder Man. You mean?
Yeah,
Well,
I would rather. I would
like
rather have his Dark Knight version versus Soy Boy.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's my point. At least Ben Affleck felt like the Frank Miller version of Batman with the zero fucks given. Like, I can at least respect that. But when you look at Patterson, I swear the whole thing is...
Robert Patterson, no. That Patterson.
Yeah.
But,
he's Soy Bat.
I'm the Batman. Like,
I mean, we kind of all assumed it was going to be emo Batman, like, right from the beginning. And, shock and awe, it's emo Batman.
For sure. Well, and that's the thing is, like I think with the story they had, like, I think the overall arcing story wasn't a good story. Yes. The problem is it was shitty directing, and none of the actors, except for, I thought, like, me specifically, I liked James Gordon and I liked Penguin. That was just me. I thought those were the two best roles. Everybody else, in my opinion.
I think I would have accepted James Gordon being black if it was before everyone was being made black. And
right, yeah. Like, if they were,
Well, like they did in the original one with Val Kilmer, where it was... Oh, no, was it Val Kilmer or was it...
No,
Val Kilmer was the one where
Michael Keaton.
It was Michael Keaton one.
Harvey Dent was originally played by Billy D.
Williams. Billy D. Williams.
Well,
yeah.
You even had Lawrence Fishburne before this whole thing with Superman, Man of Steel, when he played Perry White. Like, he played a good Perry White. So, like, and that was before this whole woke shit. I didn't have any problems with Lawrence Fishburne playing Perry White.
Yeah, no, like that's... I mean, it's really... It really has to be about, like, quality. Like, when they do it and they're just like, oh, we're looking for a black actor. It's just like, no, like, we're looking for an actor who can portray this character well. And you know what? Like, back in the day, a lot of people were a lot more accepting to race swaps when it was based off of talent and not off of quotas.
And how Billy D. Williams was kick-ass as Harvey Dent. Like, everybody loved him.
Well, here's my whole thought.
Well, Billy D. Williams didn't really do much as Harvey Dent. I mean, he was barely a cameo. I
complained about them casting Michael Clark Duncan as Penguin because they could have found somebody white that fits that bill, and someone said, name one actor who actually fit the bill as Kingpin, the way Michael Clark Duncan did. And they literally looked at me and oh, wait.
Oh, no, Michael Clark Duncan as the Kingpin? That fit.
It fit. I'm like, all right, you know what? And, like, when you really sit down and look at his performance, You see, he really did, because I love the director's cut of Daredevil. That is an amazing fucking movie.
I don't know if I've just even seen it yet. The director's
I
cut.
still haven't seen it yet. Like, it's on my list to watch, but I keep watching other stuff before that.
It is,
So,
and it is amazing. But you really see, like, the way Marshall Clark Duncan tried his best to give Kingpin, like, he felt like Kingpin when you saw him on screen. And when you see him at the end and he's fighting, he felt like he had the strength of Kingpin. Like, picked up Daredevil and just slammed him into the ceiling like he was a paper bag.
Yeah, I do like that, but, like, I have to admit, the other guy did better in the Daredevil series, Vincent D'Onofrio. And
Yes.
I thought he was a far better Kingpin. Like, he had that like proper Kingpin gravitas. Like, he
because
felt
he had
like a mob
the
boss.
tone right. He had the, like.
Yeah.
My only issue with the Daredevil series is that it drags on for a bit too long. Like, I think especially season 1 and season 2, they should have, like, cut that in, like cut at least like 1 to 2 episodes out of each, like, season. Just tighten it up a little bit. It was just a little too long. That's my thing.
Well, let's be honest.
Especially with, like, the Kingpin scenes. The Kingpin scenes, unfortunately, they dragged on for a little long. His performances were fantastic, but just, like, tighten it up a bit, guys. Tighten it up. Season 3 was choice. It was perfect.
What's interesting is with Michael Clark Duncan before he passed, when they were doing the circuit with him and Daredevil, he actually liked the Daredevil character. Like, he read the comics and everything. So, like, he was a Daredevil fan. Once again, going back to the fact of he's a comic book fan, like, you know, Henry Cavill and stuff like that. Oh, I would rather trust that. Oh, you want any thoughts on the Luke Cage series? Fucking unbelievable. I loved Luke Cage.
I liked the first season okay. Once again, though, I felt like it dragged on a bit too long. Could have been a little tighter. Maybe drop 1 or 2 episodes.
But Michael Coulter played the character. He played
Yeah,
Luke
No, stop. No. I'm sorry. Michael Coulter is Luke Cage. No one else is playing this motherfucker. This dude is literally the exact height, exact build, everything. Dude!
He looked, yeah,
he looked the part. He looked like he came right out of the comic.
Yeah, he literally is like one of the things that
I never did see season 2 though. I never did see season 2.
Season 2 wasn't as good, but it was still good.
Yeah. I never saw season 2 of Jessica Jones either.
You're not missing anything on that.
I think I stopped immediately after watching the team up one. What was it called again?
Defenders.
I hated it. It was awful.
Once again, so you had you had 3 different shows that were completely, totally different. You know, with Iron Fist. You know,
yeah, somewhat. There was not as drastically as the original, like, MCU, but, like, yeah, there was some tonal differences. I thought the most wasted character though was Iron Fist. Like, that series was probably the most overly long of all of them. That show needed to be like 6 episodes max. It was too long. And there was not enough kung fu, man. We needed way more kung fu than they gave us.
That was also when they started doing the woman power. They wanted to, they really wanted to shift and replace, even at the end of season 1, you could tell that they did not want him, that white boy, as, which is racist in itself, that he was the kung fu master, Nah,
that's not racist. That's not racist.
No, but that's why they said. Remember, that's partly why.
Oh, I know. They're always saying like, oh, only Asian people can do kung fu. It's just like, what?
Bro,
when did this rule get established?
Dude, some of us earned our messed up nose. Thank you. That's a lot of missed.
And here's the thing with Iron Fist. If anybody knows anything about Iron Fist, because once again, we're going to talk about like characters. Iron Fist went toe to toe with Namor, the Submariner. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and who is one of the strongest people in the MCU behind the Hawk and the Thing.
Well, I want to say though, like I didn't dislike Iron Fist. I thought it was a half decent series. My biggest problem with it was just too fucking long. It was too drawn out. It was too agonizingly slow. You needed to tight like that was the same thing for most of these Netflix seasons because they keep having these like, oh, we have to do exactly 12 episodes. We have to do 12 episodes. It's like, why? Like I'm okay, like particularly with like my comic stuff, right? I'm very like passionate about only doing as much or that as you need to tell the story that you want to tell, you know.
Be
So
back
if
1 minute. I
it
gotta go to the bathroom.
okay, yeah, sure, but like for Pineapple Pizza Man issue 1, it's 46 pages. Like we initially planned it as like 29, but through the process of actually creating the comic, you know, and planning it out, you know, we're just like actually to tell it at the pace and to get the tone that we want for this comic to be, it has to be longer. It has to be 46 pages. It has to be this way because of the pacing of the fight sequences. We want these fight sequences to be fast and frenetic and fun, and so that needs more visual time with them, you know? Like mangas. Like you read through a manga fight scene and you'll be going through like 30 pages and like you know a snap because they're just like fast frenetic, you know, you're just like flipping the page, it's like boom
Bing,
boom
bing,
boom
bing,
boom
bing, bing,
boom
bing,
boom
bing,
boom
bing,
boom,
bing.
right? And that's what I'm saying. Like you want to have the appropriate pacing. If your thing is going to be, you know, 32 episodes to get the appropriate pacing, you know, the appropriate tone. I doubt that's very much like it's an extreme example. Then do those
Yeah.
32 episodes. But if it's
That's
only going to
example.
if you only need like 5 to 8 episodes to do your thing and to do it right, then do it in 5 to 8 episodes. You know, do it in like 3 episodes if that's what you need. But just like don't drag things out because
Example.
the audience can feel it, man. It's like old anime, you know, like old Dragon Ball Z and stuff. Like I couldn't watch that stuff when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, no.
I know a lot of people liked it. I know a lot of people liked it, but for me, that pacing killed
Yeah.
it. The pacing in Bleach killed it. The pacing in Naruto killed it for me. I could
One
not watch
Piece.
those shows because there was stretches of time. They take like one minuscule little element and they would stretch it over multiple episodes, sometimes even an entire season where basically nothing happens. You
Well,
know?
and
And
I
and
think
like
a good example of good pacing would be like, especially if you're going to do like a story arc style storytelling, Justice League in Justice League Unlimited. You had season 2, for instance, of Justice League be the build up of the Thanagarian uh, invasion and whatnot, and then the fallout of that. And then you have season 1 of Unlimited be the rise and basically collapse of Argus and Cadmus and everything. Uh, like, because remember they did have Argus come in with Task Force X and everything. But yeah, and then you have season 4, which was all about Darkseid and the build up to him, and it was proper pacing. You felt like something happened in each episode while at the same time building up to Darkseid's coming, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And they don't even let you know it's Darkseid. That's the best part.
I think part of the thing is, I think, and this is something that has plagued comics for quite some time, has always been a pacing issue because
yeah.
the old
Yes.
style comics, when we were growing up, comics in most cases, a story had to be done within the comic, and I would say even for a lot of
21
the
pages.
21, 22
21
pages.
pages was the standard. I remember
Yeah.
because when I first started getting into comic making, which was back in high school, like I did all the like research about like what's the exact dimensions of the comic. You know, what are the how many pages does a comic have to be? And that's when I started realizing like they don't have to be 21 pages, you know. And I was just like I would get so frustrated because I kept trying to I was writing my scripts and stuff, and they ended up always being longer than 21 pages. And I'm just like, how do I get this in 21 pages? You know, and it's just like, you can't. Like, and that's a big problem. I think in general, it's like if you're constantly constrained to be in this like very tight box, you know, not everything fits inside the box, and so
Right.
sometimes you got to have a little bit of like flexibility. But
And
Well,
that
and
lack
that
of
would be a
flexibility
thing.
has has really made a lot of comics, more and more, like in the Western side of comics, more and more tell don't show,
Yeah.
and that's what I don't like about it. I like to have, there's always going to be some areas where you're going to do a little more tell and a little less show, but you have to have areas where you do a lot more show and a lot less tell,
If you
particularly
look at
action sequences.
Yeah, like if you look at like Frank Miller or Alan Moore, and I would say probably even though like they all kind of fed into the collapse of modern comics, in most cases the early '90s, a lot of stories were that way. Like things were told. Very rarely did you ever have a comic. I think the only one I can remember besides the Dark, not counting the Dark Knight, because that was always meant to be a standalone series. Death of the Family was like the only major comic arc that took time. Well, no, I'm sorry. Death of Superman too. Death of
Yeah.
Superman and Death of the Family were the two biggest ones that you could point to that took multiple comics. But in most cases, everything had to be done in those 20 some pages.
Yeah.
You forward to the mid 90s going forward, they start to stop writing to self-contained. All of a sudden, they're creating these really big issues, 7 issues, 8 issues, 12 issues, and sometimes the story would just drag instead of condensing it down from say 8 issues down to 6 issues.
And that's
Or
because corporations always learn the wrong lessons. So if they
yeah,
have like a big event that does really well, they're just like, we should make everything a big event, and then everything will always do really well. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Okay,
Yeah,
you have
no.
you have to have things that like these big events have to be special. That's why they work so well. It's because they're special. They're unique. They're not common.
You do
They
them like
always
once
learn
a
the wrong
decade.
lesson.
Like,
yeah,
no, the point I was going to make is look at Chris Claremont. Y'all heard me like constantly point him out. He is the man that understood you could do overarching narrative storytelling as
yep,
long as you make sure to have something happen that is independent in each issue that little by little incrementally nudges you towards the end. And this is something that he did well, but most writers today within comic books haven't read comics.
yeah. Well, and that's the big thing is if you look, John Byrne, Chris Claremont, Louise Simonson, Walt Simonson, and a few others. That's what they knew how to do stuff, and it was really this whole shift of because they wanted to start getting into these IP properties and getting stuff for movies and stuff like that. That's really what shifted the tone and stuff like that. So like, yeah. So I mean. For me, like I think we're gonna kind of bring this up and wrap it up here, if you don't mind. So if we look at this and we look at the issues with Unity, we look at the issues with uh, DC and stuff like that. As we talked about, Josh, you're muted still.
Oh, I know.
believe.
I was taking a call.
Okay.
Someone was calling me.
Um, I think, like you said, Josh, we are going to see this shift, and it's going to be big. I think you're
It's
going
going
to
to be
see.
apocalyptic.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the collapse of Hollywood. We're going to see the collapse of DC. Now, do I think there's still going to be properties that are going to survive? Yes, but I think a
Sure.
lot of times, I think you're going to see a slimming down of, we're seeing studios. One AAA title fails, studio closes. That's what's going to happen. We just had it. The one studio, Violation, shut down. Boom,
Volition.
because Volition, yeah, because one game fails and it literally tanks them.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know,
they had
Well,
so much money
it's not-
involved in that game, but
Mhm.
like the whole game was just like pushing this woke politics shit, and everybody could see that right from the beginning, and they were just like, no, I
And
don't
they were
want
doing
that.
the classic leftist squatting over a plate, pantless, going, "What do you mean it's going to be shit? It's not even out yet." And we're like, "Dude, we could tell what you're about to do onto the plate."
Yeah, exactly.
well, and
Oh,
once again, it's AAA games are just like they're going the same thing with Hollywood. They're all following a cookie cutter cutout. Most AAA games are the same damn freaking game, no matter what.
yeah,
Now,
I mean that's that's the same thing that's tanking the MCU is that homogeneity, that formulaic,
Well,
I would
feeling
even go.
that
I
everything
would
feels
even
the same.
I would even say Disney. Look at all the Disney recent remakes and shit. Like Pixar can't even survive because they bought it. You know. And Josh, I know you used to work for Disney, so like you know.
Yeah,
Well,
no, I have worked on Disney contracts. I mean, luckily, a lot of the projects that I was on were like pretty decent projects, like Tangled, the series. That was a good
Which,
one.
by the way, I did download that for my niece to give her. She loved it.
Oh, great, nice.
So, and I told
It's
her,
a
I
good
said, my friend,
series. I loved Tangled, and I was so happy to work on the series. Like I thought it was a great series, a great show, like a great movie, and I'm glad they got all of, like the voice actors back for the show too. So
yeah,
it's got that authentic feel to it, as opposed to like some of the old Disney TV shows where they didn't get the original actors back, and you could tell, and you're just like, that's not right, you
yeah.
know.
Well, Aladdin, I thought did very good, although they couldn't get Robin. We knew they were never going to get Robin Williams back, unfortunately. But yeah. So like, I think we're looking at this destruction. I mean, look at Neo just said, look at Saints Row. I mean, PlayStation is now facing a huge backlash. They
Yeah.
put they put Saints Row in as a PlayStation Game of the Month or of the month, and then they go and raise their prices, and people are leaving like crazy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I ended my PlayStation subscription a long time ago.
if I wouldn't have so many games from the PS3 era and PS4, I probably would have ended it. But there's still a lot of games that I haven't played yet.
Yeah,
So you know.
I mean, PlayStation 5 has been an absolute debacle between like their inability to get consoles into actual like stores, and their complete lack of games that anybody wants to play on it.
well,
It's like
I
I
remember
have
back during the Xbox, the 360 PS3 days, right? Everyone always pointed out how the PlayStation 3 was the far superior system, which it was, but why is it that the Xbox 360? Yeah, there's plenty of guys like me who loved our 360, and we were on our like sixth, seventh, eighth 360 because we burned them up just playing them so much. But we hated the PlayStation 3. Well, because the PlayStation 3, one, you get a little bit of dust in the system and it sounds like a jet turbine in your house.
until the Slim came out. When they got the PS3 Slim, that because I have a fat and a Slim. But no, see what happened is why PlayStation wanted the PS3 and wanted the PS4 is the amount of games they had.
and
Like
Blu-ray.
they and Blu-ray, yeah.
Yeah.
Blu-ray really was the huge factor that changed that whole thing. Microsoft went behind HD DVD. Not that I don't have any problems because HD DVD was a good transcoding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as someone who does have a PS5, I would agree with you. Like I tell you what, I actually have more PS4 games on my PS5 than PS5 games.
I mean, I just can't even afford a PlayStation 5 anyway, but they don't have the games that like library. Like even if they had like 5 or 6 like really good PS5 exclusive games, like I could be like, okay, yeah, I could justify maybe getting
Well,
a console.
I will say,
but
like,
they
for
don't.
instance, see, that's the thing is, like, first party wise, like I did get Dead Space for the PS5, but that was a remake.
Did they not get backwards compatibility either?
They do have backwards compatibility but they for PS4 games, that's completely backwards compatibility. PS3, no, it's all streaming. PS2 is select games they've been working on porting to the PS4. But yeah, it is PS5 is the PS because I'm playing PS. I have more PS4 games on, but they were talking about like the catalog, putting PS3 games and PS2 and PS1 games. They were going to start releasing more of them into the catalog, which they're not doing.
Yeah,
and that's because the emulator that they had for the PS4. I guess there are some differences in coding between the PS4 and PS5. Apparently, it's running like shit on the PS5.
Mm.
And I have to say it now. I have to say it because I am the resident PC player. Ha ha! Dirty console peasants! You could be running with the extreme graphics of PC. Oh,
Well, I do
But
have a
you know,
PC. I just don't
yes.
play games on
So
it.
so like for me, like I have my Steam Deck. I have my Ein Loki, which is a handheld PC. That's what see. This is what they don't really. These companies don't realize. Modern consoles are going to disappear. People want the Nintendo. Why do you think Nintendo, for all the things I hate about Nintendo and their their piracy stuff, they make games that people want to play?
Yeah, no, it's all about the games, and that's what these companies need to get back to. Like they have to understand, like it's all about the games. Focus on the games.
I'm
Like if the
sorry.
games aren't fun, people aren't going to buy the games. People aren't going to buy the
Suicide.
console.
Who the
Period.
hell who the hell approved Suicide Squad versus the Justice League? I want to know who approved that.
Is that the Suicide Squad game where like they're all basically like they just have guns? Like all of them have guns.
Yes,
Even the shark guy, his power is I also have guns.
yes. So
That's
basically,
stupid.
yeah, and it was a live. It was going
Did
to be
that
a
actually
live.
come out?
No,
Oh,
no. It was a live service game that basically. So Rockstar had to Rockstar or Rocksteady, whoever the company is, they basically they had to take it because it got They were going to release it the beginning of this year before Gotham Knights came out.
oh yeah.
It got the demo got reviewed to hell. They went back to the drawing board.
Well, yeah, obviously. Like, I mean, if okay, you've got this game about playing as supervillains, the Suicide Squad. That's great. Okay, we like villains. Villains are interesting. Villains can be fun. It's fun to play the bad guys sometimes. But then you take everything that's unique about these four villain characters, you strip them of it, and then you just give them guns.
Yeah.
That's stupid. That's boring. Are you kidding me? We've had a million different games about shooting people with guns. If you're going to give us something where your four main characters have different superpowers because they're supervillains, we want to use their superpowers. We
Like
want to act like the supervillains and do the supervillain things with the superpowers against the super people, not shoot guns at them.
Well, Warner Brothers, and this is what I don't get. So Warner Brothers approved that, but now they also approved a Wonder Woman game at the same time. But that's been in development hell, and I'm like thinking, who the hell would approve this over Wonder Woman? You could have capitalized on Wonder Woman back when the Wonder Woman movies were out,
You know,
and you
hopefully they stick to one power set with Wonder Woman. Like not constantly that was the thing I hated about Wonder Woman 84. Like I wasn't even going to watch that movie, but then it was like on Netflix and we're just like, why the hell not? Let's check it
so
out.
what
This is
so
the
what I got
most
from
bullshit movie I've ever seen.
what I gather from the demo that was done back in the State of Play over the summertime, they released a trailer for it.
For Wonder
Her
Woman?
main, yeah,
Oh, okay.
her main weapon set is of course the lasso.
Okay.
You know,
That could be fun.
I don't know if she's going to fly. They did not show anything like that, but I do see her that and super. She's probably gonna have super strength because that's what she has. You know, and you'll be able to block with the bracers most likely. But they did show the demo. Primarily, she was using the and the lasso is probably gonna have nets and stuff like that.
Okay.
Now, but yeah, but the problem is, guess who they originally got to write the Wonder Woman movie or game?
Oh, was it that chick that did the movie?
Yeah,
Fuck. Oh man. They're in for a bad time cuz she's awful.
well,
Wonder
they
Woman
canned
84
her.
was hot garbage.
They canned because they
Oh,
canned
that was
that
smart.
person who was they canned it. Also, here's the other thing. You heard Mags got kicked off of Knights of the Old Republic because she was
Max
writing the
Fasagio?
remake. Yeah, Mags Fasagio was writing the
How-
remake for.
Like, do these people that hired not do any fucking research on the people that they hire
Well,
at all?
No, it's all about the ESG thing, dude.
Jesus Christ.
And not just that, a lot of these people are friends with the people that hire them, and they're
Yep.
specifically hired because they share the same ideology.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, for sure. Speaking of ideology, I just want to make a clarification to Neostar here. He says Josh prefers manga confirmed. No, not true. I prefer good quality, and unfortunately, the West isn't like delivering that, but the East is, and that's why I'm more into manga at the moment. It's not that I prefer manga; it's just that manga's the only one that's delivering the goods right now.
Yeah, and trust me, there's some shitty stuff in manga.
Oh
There
yeah,
trust. Yeah,
not
there are
every
some.
manga is good. Like I've read mangas where I was just like, and like moved on.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Like,
but also
tr-
there's a lot of mangas that I really like where people will probably be like, "You like this?" I'm just like, "Yeah."
and that's what I love about manga because it just has. There's stuff for everybody.
Yeah, and,
You know.
and you know what? I've actually been like really into the isekai genre. And I know
That
people are
actually,
gonna be
so have
like,
I.
rolling their eyes," but I'm just like,
Gosh,
they
yeah,
make
yeah,
it fun.
yeah. Like, and you know what? It's like some of the most stupidest ideas, but you know what? It
It's
works.
great.
It does. I just it's fun. Like they're doing like classic fantasy stuff in all of these, but like they're always doing something different. They're always thinking outside of the box, and like they always put some kind of gimmick in there that makes it more
Yeah.
interesting. And a
The,
lot
the,
of it is very much like, oh, the character like basically wins all the time, or like they're like, oh, like we we're always coming out on top because like we're just so good, like we're in this new world and we're just the best. But it's like their their characters are interesting, like even though they're like way up here, and as far as like like their powers or whatever, like they're always interesting. I've read some that suck, not gonna lie. Like
yeah.
I've read a few that are just hot garbage boring messes, but like a lot of them are really fun, and I'm just like,
So,
I don't care that it's like wish fulfillment power fantasies. For the most part, they're done well.
so what I would recommend to you, Josh, if you haven't gotten a chance to watch, it's called Farming in Another World. So it's basically a slice of life. The
Yeah.
guy basically dies. He dies from a disease in our world, and he meets the god character in this world, and basically he's like, hey, I just want to live forever, and I want to farm. And the guy gives him a tool to farm, and he's able to farm this. And then he finds out like he's in the middle of this like demon forest, and like everybody's like wondering how the hell is this guy living in the middle of the demon forest and stuff like that. He ends up meeting a vampire and an angel at the same time, and he's having kids with them, and like then all these girls start coming to his village, and he's like, no, why aren't there guys coming to my village? More guys. I don't want to be hooking up with all these women. And it's like, I'm like, dude, you're getting all these women. I wouldn't complain, but anyhow, it's funny. It's kind of like a slice of life type thing and stuff like that. Like I've been kind of into the more like there's one just recently where it's like a middle age salesman in another world. He basically is like he has access to the online store, and he like builds stuff in this isekai world and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So I've been kind of
Oh,
into
the one with
those.
I know exactly the one you're talking about. He befriends the Fenrir wolf, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's a fun one. I like that one a lot. And he's just
I,
cooking
I,
stuff. And you know what I love about it? It's like, particularly the anime. Like, it's just like they make the food look so amazing, and you're just like
yeah.
watching this show, and you're just like, I just want to eat what they're eating right now.
I
It's so
love
good. It looks
I
so good.
love Sui. I love the slime character. He's so cool. Like he's just so
It's
cute.
cute.
Yeah, it's like shows like that. And like the thing is, like there's all these other ones that right now are like kind of slice of life ones that I've been really enjoying. It's like they're easy reads. I don't have to get invested into these big characters. You know what I mean, like Bleach, Naruto. Don't get me wrong. Like I still love Bleach and I still love Eden Zero and stuff like that. But I like these other ones because they're just like maybe 10 volumes or 12 volumes, and they're quick easy reads.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing is I love isekai. I mean, I kind of like that they're kind of shifting now to where there's an isekai that just I started called The Weakest Tamer. Basically it's about
Oh,
a
yeah,
little
I've seen
girl who
that
gets
one. Oh, it's
yeah,
alright.
about the little girl who gets reincarnated, and she as a tamer, and she tames like a slime, but she can't, like she has to like she gets kicked out of the village and stuff like that because her parents want to kill her and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
maybe I haven't seen that one. That's a different one.
yeah, it's
I
this is
actually,
a
I have an isekai idea of mine that I wanted to do at some point. I thought was pretty fun. Like
Actually, so
huh?
Volchaos and the Myth Gods, that's technically an isekai because he's
Oh
in
yeah.
heaven and he comes to Earth and stuff like that. So that's my isekai. So
Well, my one, it's you know how in a lot of the isekais where they have like, they have this great threat or like demon king or something like that,
yeah,
and then they summon people from our world to their world, and like,
yep.
they're gonna be like their saviors, and when they come to our world because of that magical process, they end up getting some powers of some kind, and in this one, I was thinking they summon these four people from our world to the fantasy world, and in the process of doing so, like these idiots, like instead of bringing them to them, so that they can like train them how to use their powers and prepare them for their fight against this evil sorcerer who has been reborn and is about to wreak havoc on their world. They send them directly to the sorcerer. Like they instantly summon them directly in front of the final boss, like before they even get like the tutorial level, right?
Oh shit! I can just imagine the disaster that is. Like, so
Oh,
they,
it gets better because what happens essentially is like they just like go in having no idea what's happening. The summoner guy knows, so he knows what's happening, and they're just like, "What do we do? What do we do?" And like, he basically like uses his sorcerer powers to like change all of their forms into like forms that they are essentially not going to be happy with. So like, there's this muscular jock type character gets turned into a loli, there's this
oh
yeah
shit!
yeah,
That
like
sounds awesome, dude.
there's this popular guy who's like super, chiseled and like super like handsome and all that, and he gets what was it? He gets turned into something like where he basically like fucks with his personality. So he's all of his charm is gone, all of his posture's gone. He's super introverted and shy, and like his
Nice.
confidence is just stripped from him. And then there's this other one is like a former beauty queen, prides herself on her beauty more than anything. Uh, what does she turn into again? Uh,
There's one that I
so
just
female.
I don't think the anime wasn't as good as the manga. Basically, there's a guy who basically he got summoned as a hero. He got OP'd too quickly, brought balance to the world, and they basically the human world got pissed off at him, sent him back to our world. He gets reincarnated as a different person, and then 5 years later they reincarnate.
Oh yeah, I remember. I just remembered. The beauty queen girl. She ends up becoming a man, and and so she's like essentially like a trap. So she tries to regain her former beauty, but like she just can't. Like she has no more power over men because she is a man. And then the last one gets turned into a truck.
He becomes Truck-kun.
Right. But then they're just like, oh my god, please change us back. Like they hate these forms. He's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna give you a chance. You can change back, but you have to find this amulet, and bring it to me. And so he shatters it into 37 pieces and scatters it throughout the world. He tells them the only way to find them is at the bottom of a bottle. So this whole story kind of becomes them, instead of journeying to try and like increase their skills and fight against the sorcerer, it's just to get their old bodies back. And so it's just a pub crawl, like a worldwide pub crawl to try and find all the pieces of this shattered amulet so they can get their original bodies back.
There was one that was just recently done, manga and anime. The manga's still ongoing, called Parallel World Pharmacy, where basically this 37-year-old pharmacist was reincarnated as a 10-year-old boy, and he basically gets the powers of like creating, medicine and stuff like that, and he actually gets revived in a time where they haven't discovered penicillin in that world. So
Right.
so he has all the knowledge of our world in that world and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I do like those series and stuff like that. those kind of things, because they're kind of more realistic takes on using what the person had from their previous job in that knowledge in that current world and stuff like that. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
the isekai genre has been really good. Well,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
ten
it's fun.
thirty. It's 10:30, so let's go ahead. We're gonna wrap up here.
For sure, yeah. I was just gonna
Yeah.
say we should probably do that soon.
So, but yeah, great discussion tonight. I think we definitely see where there's a lot of room for improvement, where things need to grow. Everybody, I love hearing updates from everybody, how everybody's doing. So,
Yeah, for
Josh, we
sure.
definitely need to get you back on again.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be back on. It's nice to have these again, and hopefully we can bring in more people, bring in more,
yeah,
creators and artists and indie people, and have just more of these frank, honest discussions about, a couple of hot
we are.
topics, and then just branch out like we usually do to whatever the hell is on our minds. I like it.
So yeah, so we're gonna have uh Scott Kishman on at some point. I'm just waiting for him to let me know because he's in a crowdfunding right now with Cody and stuff like that. With Cody and stuff like that. So I definitely want to bring him on, have an episode with him. So Josh, where can people follow you, sir?
Well, as usual, you can follow me at Josh Animator. It's on the screen there. I did that as my screen name. On Twitter/X. You can also go to sciencewizardcomics.com to check out our stuff there. I really got to update that website. I have not had the time to do so in a really long time. But
Understandable.
also, of course, check out my comic publisher, Science Wizard Comics, on Twitter as well. That's at Science Comics. And of course on YouTube, we're at Science Wizard Comics. We do the SWC Indie Sphere. So if you're having a hard time finding it, just type in the SWC Indie Sphere in the search, and it should come up pretty quickly. We're getting back into our streaming as well. So keep abreast of that. We just had Peter Samedi on the other night talking about his book King
Nice.
Cryptid. I want to get back to talking about indie comics that are out there, indie comics that are up and coming, and
Yep.
all that jazz, and of course always updating on what we're doing as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we've been kind of doing the same thing. Nerd Wonder had her first comic that she did a crowdfunder on. We had her on a few weeks ago,
yeah,
or several months
Behemoth.
ago. Yeah, Behemoth. So getting those creators back on. I definitely want to. We're looking to do that, and Bob also, by the way, he does editing now. So if
Oh.
anybody needs editing abilities, Bob he's there to help that.
Video editing, mind you.
Yeah, video editing. Yep.
Oh yeah, I also wanted to say on that as well regarding Science Wizard, and with Pineapple Pizza Man. We also have a what do you call that thing again? That thing where people pay money to do stuff.
Patreon.
Patreon. Yeah, Patreon. Yeah. I don't know why I lost the name of it there for a second, but we got a Patreon, and you can actually view the first 26 pages of Pineapple Pizza Man in full color and full lettering on our Patreon. Well, it's on the
Nice.
Discord that you get access to once you join the Patreon. But yeah, for as little as $2, you can you can read the first 26 pages of Pineapple Pizza Man right now.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And
that's good.
we also have the first 8 pages of the Chicken Warrior too. That's also on there. So yeah, you should definitely check that out if you're interested in what we're working on. And yeah, we got other comics we're working on too outside of that.
Josh, I know you were doing commissions. Are you closed right now?
Right now, I am closed. Yeah.
Okay.
So Neostar, whatever you're talking about regarding Pineapple Pizza Man, yeah, for sure, hit me up. I'm happy to hear whatever it is you have to say.
Nice.
Yeah, but my commissions are closed for now, because I have a backlog of the stuff that I took on to be able to pay for the bills when I
Yeah.
lost my job. And so I gotta get those done ASAP, and I don't want to take on any more new ones until I've honored those contracts essentially.
But yeah,
So
but keep an eye out when he does open them up. That way,
Yeah.
you can support a creator out there. Josh is a great guy. We've known him for quite some time. He's one of the OGs
the OGs of the meeting of the minds. But yeah,
Yep.
no. As soon as I do finish that group of commissions, though, I will be opening them back up again. So
Nice. All right.
and
Bob,
once they're done, like I'll have a lot more, examples of my work too, so people can, definitely get a better idea of what I can do and what they might want from me. So yeah.
nice. All right, Bob, where can people follow you, sir?
As always, you guys can find me on the Twitters at Brainiac420. You can find me everywhere else at Bob Jones Comic Wars. And you can find me right here on YouTube at A Nerd and Over 30.
Nice. All right, guys. As always, you can follow me here at VoltChaos1975, and on Twitter and everything else, I am at Dead Moon Detectives or Dead Moon D. Unfortunately, X Twatters limits how many characters you can have. So unfortunately, I couldn't have the whole thing on there, so I had to truncate it. But anyhow, so hopefully, like I said, we got Scott lined up here. Scott Cushman. He's doing a comic over there with the Ironverse Comics. So he's crowdfunding currently right now. He is at 35% raising funds. So
Well, what's it called?
the Recluse. Give me a second here. Let me
I'm shocked that this is the first time hearing of it, and they already have a campaign going.
Yeah, well, part of the problem is they've been suppressing Twitter. If you're not subscribed, you get suppressed.
Subscribed.
If you're not, yeah, they're blue check. If you're not a blue check, they will suppress your links and stuff like that.
Oh, jeez. How do you even get a blue check?
You got to pay for it.
It's so stupid.
All right, so that's the link to the crowdfunding.
Yeah, I want to check
it is on Indiegogo. Let me get the other link because I don't like those short links. Sometimes they don't always redirect correctly. So anyhow, they have a 15. Yep. All right. They have a $1,500 fixed goal, which isn't bad at all. They're at $525, so they still have 19 days. So if you guys, let's go ahead and get it out. Hopefully, I can get Scott on here really good and support. This is actually a new comic within his Cody's universe. So if you're a Jack Irons fan,
is that the artist who did that?
Creator of Wrath.
Right, they blocked me. That's why I couldn't find them and saw nothing about this. I still don't know why they blocked me. Never got an answer on that.
Oh, that sucks. I'm not sure. So
who knows? Maybe we'll find out. Get me on with them and I'll ask.
So anyhow, guys, thanks again for coming on. Josh, it was once again to see you, brother.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys.
Tell your family we said hi, and your daughter's definitely a cutie. Time's gonna go really fast. I'm telling you.
Dude, it already is.
My niece just turned 16. She's going to her first high school dance. So yeah,
that's crazy.
It is. Like I don't know where these last 16 years have gone. It is crazy. So. But it's a ride. Like I love my niece. While I didn't want children, I do love my niece, and I do everything to support her. So, and she's doing really good. Like she's in a private school now. She is ranked out of all the students. She is at a 96% grade point average.
Nice.
She's actually taking college courses and everything.
Oh,
yeah.
Are they worth taking?
Yeah, no, she's in student government and everything. Like Milton Hershey, like the classes they provide are not like the stupid wokey crap.
Yeah, because man, that stuff. I am terrified of that. Like we're doing homeschooling all the way. That's what we're doing. We're doing homeschooling all the way. It's tough. It's a hard thing to do, but
yeah,
I feel like it's going to be worth it because I just do not have any trust in me. Like for these institutions anymore, they have like killed my trust in them.
Yeah, it is a hard thing. So anyhow,
yeah, that's all a whole other story.
Yes, it is. So all right, guys, have a great evening and thanks for coming.
You too. Thanks for having me, man. It's good to see you guys.